Hi everyone, welcome to the Cartoonology channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be breaking down 3 hours of Squidward lore, covering his darkest moments, his most misunderstood episodes, and why he might be one of the most tragic characters in SpongeBob SquarePants. But before we begin, I'd just like to quickly ask you to subscribe. It's completely free and it really helps support the channel and the community we're building here. Alright, that's enough from me. Let's begin. First up, we got Help Wanted. Help Wanted. When SpongeBob SquarePants first arrived at the Krusty Krab on May 1st, 1999, viewers were introduced to a character who would become one of animation's most relatable pessimists, Squidward. Tentacles. This first episode establishes everything we need to know about Squidward's personality, his relationship with his workplace, and why he would spend the next 2 decades being absolutely miserable. The episode opens with SpongeBob running toward the Krusty Krab, shouting, "I'm ready!" over and over again, with the kind of enthusiasm that would make most people exhausted just watching. Squidward is outside the restaurant, cleaning graffiti off the front doors. The graffiti shows a crude drawing of Squidward's face, with the word "loser" written on it. This single image tells us everything about how Squidward is perceived in Bikini Bottom, and, more importantly, how he perceives himself. Someone in the community disliked him enough to vandalize his workplace with an insult directed specifically at him. Rather than reporting it or getting someone else to clean it, Squidward is out there himself, scrubbing away evidence of public mockery. This is his life. This is his normal. When Squidward hears SpongeBob's endless chanting of, "I'm ready," he sighs deeply and says, "Oh no, SpongeBob, what could he possibly want?" This reaction is crucial because it reveals that Squidward already knows SpongeBob before this moment. They are neighbors. Squidward has been living next to this hyperactive sponge, and clearly their relationship has not been positive. The way Squidward says SpongeBob's name carries the weight of someone who has dealt with far too much already. He sounds tired. He sounds defeated. He sounds like someone bracing for impact. Then, Squidward notices the Help Wanted sign in the window. His eyes go wide. He screams. He immediately runs inside to warn Mr. Krabs, the owner of the Krusty Krab. Squidward's panic is genuine. He knows that if SpongeBob gets hired, his work life will become exponentially worse. He rushes to Mr. Krabs, who is standing at the ordering window, happily sniffing a handful of money. Squidward tries to warn him. "Hurry, Mr. Krabs, before it's too late. I gotta tell you." But before he can finish his sentence, SpongeBob bursts through the door. SpongeBob announces with military formality, "Permission to come aboard, Captain!" He switches to a deep voice and declares, "I've been training my whole life for the day I could join the Krusty crew," before returning to his normal voice and adding, "And now I'm ready." What happens next perfectly demonstrates why Squidward wants nothing to do with this applicant. SpongeBob trips on a nail sticking out of the floorboard. He bounces back and forth on the ground, ricocheting off the floor and ceiling, shouting incomprehensibly with each impact. He bounces around the entire restaurant like a rubber ball, completely out of control, before finally rolling to a stop at the feet of Mr. Krabs and Squidward. SpongeBob looks up and casually asks, "So, when do I start?" Mr. Krabs tells SpongeBob that he does not even have his sea legs, implying that he is too clumsy and inexperienced to work there. SpongeBob begs for a chance and says, "Ask Squidward, he'll vouch for me." This is where we see Squidward's true colors emerge. Mr. Krabs and Squidward walk away from SpongeBob to discuss the situation privately. Squidward takes a deep breath and delivers a single word. No. Just that. Nothing more. No explanation, no consideration, no hesitation. The answer is simply no. Mr. Krabs winks at Squidward, indicating they are on the same page. They have a plan. Mr. Krabs returns to SpongeBob and tells him he will give him a test. If SpongeBob passes, he can join the Krusty crew. The test is to go out and find a hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachments and turbo drive. SpongeBob writes this down eagerly and salutes Mr. Krabs before running off to complete the task. After SpongeBob leaves, Mr. Krabs says confidently, "We'll never see that lubber again." Squidward smiles and responds, "You're terrible." "A hydro what?" They both laugh together. Squidward's laugh is particularly telling. While he laughs, his nose moves up and down distinctly as he inhales and exhales. He is genuinely enjoying this moment. He is happy. He finds the scheme funny. This is one of the rare moments in the episode where Squidward experiences something resembling joy, and it comes from the belief that SpongeBob has been successfully tricked and will not return. But then everything goes wrong. 5 buses full of anchovies arrive at the Krusty Krab. A massive crowd of hungry customers floods into the restaurant, all of them shouting, "Meep," repeatedly. Mr. Krabs recognizes the smell and announces with dread, "Anchovies." The anchovies swarm the restaurant, creating chaos. Squidward tries to maintain order. He asks them to please be quiet. The anchovies stop talking momentarily. Squidward, still trying to impose some structure on the situation, asks, "Could we show a little decency and form a neat, single-file line in front of the register?" This line is important because it shows us exactly who Squidward is. Even in the midst of total chaos, he believes that rules and order should prevail. He believes people should behave properly. He believes there is a right way to do things, and that right way involves decency and single-file lines. The anchovies stare at him for a moment. Then they pick up the boat-shaped register that Squidward and Mr. Krabs are standing in. Their cries of "Meep" become more intense. The register becomes like a ship in a storm, tossed around by waves of hungry customers. Mr. Krabs shouts nautical commands like, "All hands on deck," and "Batten down the hatches, Mr. Squidward." The situation escalates rapidly. The boat register is torn to splinters. Mr. Krabs shouts, "We're taking on water, Mr. Squidward!" They get thrown up in the air again, and Mr. Krabs, now clutching Squidward in fear, cries out, "I want my mommy, Mr. Squidward!" The anchovies form into wave patterns, creating a flood that rises higher and higher. Squidward and Mr. Krabs are pushed toward a pole. Squidward screams, "Help!" Mr. Krabs shouts, "Man overboard! Climb, Mr. Squidward, climb!" They climb up the pole like sailors climbing a mast, while the anchovy flood rises beneath them. The anchovies form a massive wave twice. Mr. Krabs looks at Squidward and says, "This is the end." He shakes hands with Squidward and says, "Goodbye, Mr. Squidward." Squidward responds, "Oh, Mr. Krabs." They both cry together, believing they are about to die. This is Squidward's lowest point in the episode. He is literally holding on for his life, surrounded by chaos, facing what he believes is certain death, all because too many customers showed up at once. Then SpongeBob returns. He flies into the restaurant with red lights flashing, holding the hydrodynamic spatula. He sings a heroic tune and asks, "Did someone order a spatula?" Both Squidward and Mr. Krabs stutter in shock. They cannot believe SpongeBob actually found the imaginary item they sent him to retrieve. SpongeBob proudly displays the spatula, which has 2 extending spatulas on the sides and a turbo drive feature. The extending spatulas twirl around and smack both Squidward and Mr. Krabs in the face. SpongeBob comments, "Would you believe they only had 1 in stock?" He then flies toward the kitchen, asking the anchovies, "Who's hungry?" What follows is a montage of SpongeBob cooking Krabby Patties set to Tiny Tim's song, "Living in the Sunlight, Loving in the Moonlight." SpongeBob works at superhuman speed, chopping vegetables, assembling burgers, and launching Krabby Patties through the order window to the hungry anchovies. He serves every single customer. The anchovies eat their meals, board their buses, and leave happy. The crisis is over. SpongeBob saved the day. Mr. Krabs is impressed. He congratulates SpongeBob, saying, "That was the finest fast foodsmanship I've ever seen, Mr. Squarepants. Welcome aboard." He gives SpongeBob an official name tag. Squidward tries to protest, saying, But Mr. Krabs, but he is interrupted. Mr. Krabs announces, 3 cheers for SpongeBob! Hip hip! Squidward weakly responds, Hooray, Mr. but gets cut off again. Mr. Krabs repeats, Hip hip! Squidward quickly says, Hooray, Mr. Krabs does it one more time. Hip hip! Squidward quickly mutters, Hooray, Mr. Krabs, trying to get a word in. But Mr. Krabs is not listening. He announces he will be in his office, counting his money, and wheels away a wheelbarrow piled high with cash. Patrick Star enters the Krusty Krab and cheerfully greets everyone. Good morning, Krusty crew. Squidward, now manning the register alone, asks what Patrick would like to order. Patrick says, 1 Krabby Patty, please. The instrumental to Living in the Sunlight, Loving in the Moonlight starts playing again. SpongeBob flies back to the kitchen using his spatula. Squidward says, What? In confusion. Then, without warning, an enormous number of Krabby Patties are fired through the order window. Squidward dodges them, but they collide into Patrick, who screams as he is sent flying out of the Krusty Krab. Crashing noises are heard outside. Squidward walks toward Mr. Krabs' office, calling out, Mr. Krabs! Mr. Krabs! Then he switches to a sarcastic singing voice and says, Mr. Krabs, come see your new employee. At the same time, Tiny Tim's song continues playing, along with the sounds of more Krabby Patties being shot through the window and glass breaking. This is the final image we have of Squidward in the episode. Standing in a destroyed restaurant, sarcastically calling for his boss, while his new coworker causes mayhem in the kitchen. This episode establishes every core element of Squidward's character that would define him for the entire series. He is a cashier at a fast food restaurant, a job he clearly considers beneath him. He hates his workplace. He despises enthusiasm, especially SpongeBob's brand of relentless optimism. He feels intellectually superior to everyone around him, which is why he tries to impose order and decency even when surrounded by chaos. He is sarcastic, bitter, and chronically dissatisfied with his circumstances. He actively tried to prevent SpongeBob from getting hired, and when that failed, he was forced to watch SpongeBob become a hero while he remained exactly where he started, stuck at the register, dealing with the consequences. The graffiti on the door is not random. It represents how Squidward is viewed by his community. Someone called him a loser, and Squidward is cleaning it off himself, which suggests this happens regularly enough that he has a routine for it. His immediate panic when he sees SpongeBob approaching shows he has been dealing with SpongeBob's antics as a neighbor and wants to keep that chaos out of his workplace. His flat no when asked if he would vouch for SpongeBob demonstrates his honesty, but also his lack of compassion. He could have given SpongeBob a chance. He could have been kind. Instead, he chose to participate in a scheme to trick SpongeBob into a pointless errand. When the anchovies arrive, Squidward tries to maintain control by asking for a single file line. This shows his belief in rules and structure. He genuinely thinks that if people would just behave properly, everything would be fine. But people do not behave properly. The anchovies ignore him completely, and he ends up clinging to a pole with Mr. Krabs, crying and saying goodbye because they think they're going to die. This is the reality of Squidward's life. He tries to impose order, he tries to do things the right way, and he gets completely overwhelmed anyway. When SpongeBob saves the day, Squidward gets hit in the face by the spatula extensions. This is symbolic. SpongeBob's success literally smacks Squidward in the face. Then Squidward tries to protest when Mr. Krabs hires SpongeBob, but he is silenced. He tries to speak 3 different times during the 3 cheers moment, and each time he is talked over. Nobody cares what Squidward thinks. Nobody listens to him. His opinion does not matter. He is not important. He is just the cashier. The final scene, where Patrick orders 1 Krabby Patty and gets bombarded with dozens of them, shows what Squidward's future will be like. SpongeBob will work in the kitchen with wild, uncontrolled enthusiasm. Squidward will be at the register, dealing with the consequences. Customers will get hurt, the restaurant will get destroyed, and Squidward will sarcastically call for Mr. Krabs while nothing gets fixed. This episode aired on May 1st, 1999, and it introduced audiences to a character who would become a cultural icon of workplace misery. Squidward is not a villain. He is not evil. He is just a guy with a bad job who wants to be left alone. He wants order. He wants respect. He wants to do his job without chaos. But he lives next to SpongeBob SquarePants, and he works at the Krusty Krab, and his boss cares more about money than his employees, and his coworker is a hyperactive sponge who causes destruction while being praised as a hero. Squidward tried to prevent this outcome. He failed, and now he is stuck with it. That is his character. That is his life. That is the foundation established in this very first episode, and it would remain consistent for decades to come. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode, Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost aired on October 2nd, 1999, and it shows us just how far Squidward will go to get some peace and quiet. This episode reveals a darker side of his personality, one where he actively lies to SpongeBob and Patrick for his own benefit. While Help Wanted showed us that Squidward dislikes his neighbors, this episode proves he is willing to take advantage of them when given the opportunity. The episode opens inside Squidward's house. He is standing in front of a wax sculpture that looks exactly like him. He talks to the sculpture like it is a real person, saying, "Have I told you how beautiful you are? Your tentacles, your nose, your eyes, a little lopsided." He notices that one of the sculpture's eyes is not quite right, so he takes it out, fixes it, and puts it back in place. Then he says, "There, and now that I've been immortalized in wax, I have conquered all artistic media." He makes the sculpture smile. This opening scene tells us everything we need to know about Squidward's self-image. He thinks he is an artist. He thinks he is beautiful. He thinks he is important enough to create a wax version of himself. Most people do not make sculptures of themselves and then talk to those sculptures about how attractive they are. But Squidward does. This is who he is. Then Squidward hears a crash from outside. His smile disappears. The wax sculpture's smile also disappears, which is a funny visual detail that shows how the sculpture reflects Squidward's mood. Outside, SpongeBob and Patrick are playing a game that makes absolutely no sense. SpongeBob yells, "Hike, Patrick, hike!" They run in different directions. SpongeBob has a big rock, which he drops on the ground. The rock breaks in half. Patrick blows a chess piece across a chessboard. SpongeBob climbs a tree branch and counts. 1, 2, 5. He flips upside down and blows a bubble into a shape, then shouts, "G7! Patrick yells back, "G7? King me! King me!" He runs into the coral branch and pops the bubble, then announces, "I lose." SpongeBob says, "But it's not Tuesday, Patrick." Patrick responds, "Tartar sauce." None of this makes any sense. They are mixing up football, chess, bingo, checkers, and made-up rules. They are just making noise and causing chaos. Squidward peeks out from his house and yells, "Hey, what are you invertebrates doing?" SpongeBob and Patrick both answer honestly, "We don't know." This is actually a perfect answer because they truly do not know what game they are playing. Squidward asks Patrick, "Hey Patrick, do you know what time it is?" Patrick looks at his watch, but all the bubble soap inside it leaks out when he turns his wrist. Squidward answers his own question. "Time to find some other game to play." He laughs at his own joke, clearly pleased with himself. Then he goes inside, puts soapy bubbles into his bathtub, turns on his record player, gets in the tub, and takes a deep breath. He says, "Ah." He is finally relaxing. He got rid of SpongeBob and Patrick. He has his music. He has his bath. This is what Squidward wants in life. He wants to be alone with his art and his music and his bath. He does not want neighbors. He does not want friends. He wants peace. Outside, SpongeBob asks, "Now what?" Patrick notices a shell on the ground and says, "We could toss that shell back and forth." SpongeBob picks up the shell and says, "Okay, ready." He throws it into Patrick's belly. Patrick shoots it into the air and says, "Go!" SpongeBob runs after it, yelling, "I got it! I got it!" The shell flies through Squidward's open window, knocks into the wax sculpture, and the sculpture falls over. SpongeBob keeps running and yelling, "I got it! I got it! I got it!" Meanwhile, Squidward is in the other room in his bathtub. He hears a thump, but ignores it. He is too relaxed to care. SpongeBob and Patrick enter Squidward's house using his elevator. SpongeBob says, "Remember, Patrick, finders keepers." Patrick spots the shell and points at it. There it is. The shell is lodged in the head of the wax sculpture. Both SpongeBob and Patrick yell, "I got it! I got it!" Patrick pulls the shell out and says, "Bonus points." He starts to walk away, but SpongeBob stops him. Patrick? I think something's wrong with Squidward. He looks unconscious." They are looking at the wax sculpture lying on the floor. They think it is the real Squidward. This is the moment where everything goes wrong. Patrick says, "Don't worry, I know how to do this." He tries to give CPR to the sculpture. His face turns blue from holding his breath. He floats up to the ceiling, then lets out all the air and lands on top of the sculpture's head. SpongeBob yells, "Get off him, Patrick!" Patrick stands up and says, "What are you worried about? He looks better already." Patrick's butt is now imprinted on the sculpture's face. They stand the sculpture up, but SpongeBob says, "But he still feels cold." Patrick suggests, "Well, let's go put him in the warm." They bring the sculpture over to a window where the sun is shining through it. SpongeBob asks, "Do you think he'll be okay?" Patrick answers, "You know, you worry too much." The Patrick is here, and SpongeBob, I know a lot about head injuries, believe me. He starts to drool while talking, and SpongeBob has to snap his fingers to get his attention back. Patrick notices something and says, "Hey, what's that on your shoe?" SpongeBob looks down and says, "I don't know." Patrick says, "It kind of looks like..." They both look at the floor and see a puddle of green liquid. The sculpture has melted in the sun. They both scream, "Squidward!" While SpongeBob and Patrick are panicking, Squidward is in his bathroom, powdering his nose. He has no idea what is happening in the other room. SpongeBob and Patrick try to put the melted wax back together. SpongeBob says, No, that part goes here." Patrick agrees. Yeah, that's it, They keep trying. SpongeBob says, "We're almost there. We can do this." Patrick says, It's working. SpongeBob adds, "This is working." But then the sculpture melts again. SpongeBob yells, "Patrick, this isn't working." The sculpture's eyes turn over. SpongeBob finally says what they are both thinking. "I don't know how to say it, but our old pal Squidward, he's pushing up daisies." This is an old expression that means someone is dead and buried underground. Patrick responds, "Oh, I thought he was dead." Patrick completely misunderstood what SpongeBob meant, but they both arrive at the same conclusion anyway. They think Squidward is dead. Squidward comes out of the bathroom covered in talcum powder. He looks completely white. SpongeBob and Patrick cling to each other in fear. Squidward screams, "What are you doing here?" "Well, are you two trying to say something, or do I have to..." SpongeBob yells, "No, stay back!" Squidward asks, "What is the matter with you two?" Patrick begs, Don't hurt us!" SpongeBob adds, "It was an accident." Squidward is completely confused. "What are you two talking about?" Then he looks down and sees the green puddle of melted wax on his floor. He screams, "Look what you've done to me! When I get my hands on you, I'll..." He is angry because they destroyed his sculpture, but SpongeBob and Patrick think he is angry because they killed him. SpongeBob starts sobbing, "Please, Mr. Squidward's ghost!" Both SpongeBob and Patrick bow down in front of Squidward. "Spare us your ghostly anger." Patrick is kissing Squidward's feet and sobbing. He says, "Oh yes, Mr. Squidward's ghost, please don't haunt us." SpongeBob adds, "We'll do anything you want. Just have mercy on us." They genuinely believe Squidward is a ghost. They think the white powder covering him is evidence that he is dead. They think they killed him by melting his wax sculpture. This is completely insane, but they are too scared to think clearly. Squidward looks at them with concern for a brief moment. He realizes they actually believe he is dead. Then something changes in his expression. He gets an idea. He grins evilly. This is the most important moment in the entire episode, because it shows us who Squidward really is. He could tell them the truth. He could explain that the wax sculpture melted and that he is fine. He could laugh about the misunderstanding and send them home. But he does not do any of those things. Instead, he decides to lie. He decides to pretend to be a ghost so he can make them do whatever he wants. Squidward says in a dramatic voice, "Enough! Listen up. Squidward's ghost is feeling unusually generous today. He hath decided to spare ye a horrible fate. All ye must do is tend to my every whim and tickle my fancy on demand." SpongeBob starts to ask, "Does that include?" But Squidward cuts him off. "Quiet! Now do as you're told, lest ye incur the wrath of Squidward." Patrick whispers to SpongeBob, "I think they make a cream for that now." Patrick thinks the wrath of Squidward is some kind of medical condition, which shows how little he understands about what is happening. The scene transitions to SpongeBob and Patrick carrying Squidward on his bed. Squidward is lying down like a king being carried by servants. SpongeBob asks, "Here?" Squidward says, "Too hot." They walk a little more and stop. "Here?" Squidward answers, "No, too wet. Keep going, keep going." They walk even more and stop in front of a painting. SpongeBob asks again, "Here?" Squidward makes a joke. "Too loose, Lautrec." This is a reference to a real artist named Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, which shows that Squidward thinks he is educated and clever. SpongeBob says, "Too tired," and they both stop where they are. Squidward says, "Perfect." Then he announces, I feel needy." He claps his hands and orders, "Slaves, fetcheth me some nourishment." Notice that he calls them slaves. He is not asking them for help. He is commanding them like they are his property. SpongeBob says, "Only the freshest, oh spooky one." Both SpongeBob and Patrick run off to get food. SpongeBob comes back with a single grape. "A grape fresh from the vine, your ghostliness." He drops it into Squidward's mouth. Squidward eats it. SpongeBob runs off again and comes back with a banana. "A banana peeled to your liking, your incorporealness." He squeezes the banana into Squidward's mouth. Squidward eats the peeled banana. Then Patrick comes back with an entire watermelon. One watermelon, fresh from the manure fields, your spookiness. He drops the whole watermelon into Squidward's mouth. The weight makes Squidward fall over. His head is now shaped like the watermelon. SpongeBob asks, "Art thou not pleased?" Squidward spits out the watermelon. Squidward says, "Enough of that. I want something else to eat now, something that's very difficult to find." Patrick asks, "What do you hunger for, master?" SpongeBob adds, "Whatever you want, we'll find it. We'll find it." Squidward says, "Cherry pie." Immediately, Patrick holds up a cherry pie. Squidward asks, "Where'd you get that?" Patrick says simply, "I found it." Squidward takes the pie and throws it somewhere. Then he orders, "Well, go find it again." Patrick goes searching for it. This shows that Squidward is not actually hungry or in need of anything. He just enjoys having power over them. He likes watching them run around and obey his orders. Squidward calls SpongeBob over. "SpongeBob, get over here. Now spin around." SpongeBob turns around. "That's better. Now jog in place." SpongeBob jogs in place. Say flank steak. SpongeBob says, flank steak. Squidward admits, I think I'm beginning to like this. He is enjoying this power. He tells SpongeBob to stop and then gives him a new task. Now, play me an elaborate song with this. He hands SpongeBob a tissue. SpongeBob says, but this is just a piece of tissue paper. Squidward responds sarcastically, oh my, always having to have it our way, don't we? Oh boo-hoo. He is mocking SpongeBob for questioning the order. SpongeBob tries to blow through the tissue to make music, but he cannot do it. He says, I can't do it. Squidward says, well, I hope you don't have any plans tonight, because you're not allowed to leave that spot till I hear a song. Squidward walks away. Day turns into night, and night turns back into day. SpongeBob is lying on the ground with the tissue on his nose, completely exhausted. Squidward comes back and says, what's this? Napping on the job? You're supposed to be making music for me. As punishment for this insolence, Squidward's ghost commandeth you to clean out his back room. Meanwhile, Patrick comes back with the pie. I found it. Squidward takes it and throws the pie right in Patrick's face. Patrick says happily, yes, your ghostliness. He licks the filling off his face and adds, this is fun. Patrick genuinely thinks this is fun. He has no idea he is being abused. The scene transitions back to Squidward's house. SpongeBob is in the hallway and asks, Patrick, are you ready for this? Patrick says, yes. SpongeBob walks forward and says, okay, let's go. Patrick, are you coming? Patrick is facing the wrong way. He says yes. SpongeBob has to correct him. Patrick, it's this way. Patrick asks, where? SpongeBob says, here. Patrick turns around and says, oh, coming. They enter a room in the back that is full of junk. Patrick asks, how are we going to clean up all this mess? SpongeBob says, it's easy. Just tear this wallpaper off. He tears the wall. Patrick laughs and says, oh look, you missed some. Then SpongeBob picks up a book. Oh, let's see. It's a comic book, and look at this. It's the origin of the Flying Dutchman. He shows Patrick a picture in the book. It says when he died, they used his body as a window display. Now he haunts the 7 seas because he was never put to rest. This is important information. The Flying Dutchman is a famous ghost character in SpongeBob SquarePants. According to the comic book, he became a ghost because his body was not buried properly. SpongeBob makes the connection. Well, don't you get it, Patrick? Patrick asks, we're going to go shopping? He completely missed the point. SpongeBob explains, no, we're gonna put poor old Squidward to rest. They think that if they bury Squidward properly, his ghost will stop haunting them. They think they are helping him. The scene transitions to Squidward lying on his couch. SpongeBob and Patrick start spitting spitballs at him. Squidward yells, ow, what the heck was that? SpongeBob says, initiation, that was part 1 of your ceremony. Squidward jumps off the couch. Ceremony for what? SpongeBob explains, we're going to put you to rest. Squidward panics. I don't want to be put to rest. All I want are those chores done. Now, did you clean the back room yet? SpongeBob says, yeah. Squidward says, oh really? I'm going to go check. He walks to the back room and opens the door. He screams because he sees SpongeBob and Patrick standing there with a coffin. SpongeBob says, okay, get in. Squidward yells, are you crazy? I'm not getting in that thing. SpongeBob says confused, but you said we could put you to rest. Squidward yells, I didn't say anything like that. Now get out of my house. He pushes them outside. Then Squidward hears another noise. He looks outside and sees SpongeBob writing on a tombstone. SpongeBob reads what he wrote. Here lies Squidward. You may not remember him, but he... Squidward screams. SpongeBob looks up and says, oh, hi Squidward. Does this look deep enough? There is a hole dug in the ground next to the tombstone. Squidward yells, SpongeBob, cut that out. SpongeBob says, "Oh look, the mourners have arrived." A bus full of people pulls up in front of Squidward's house. Mr. Krabs gets off the bus and says, "Oh, Squidward, we all came as soon as we were sure you were dead. Everyone thinks Squidward is dead. SpongeBob has told the entire town. Squidward has had enough." He asks SpongeBob, "SpongeBob, are you trying to put me in the nut house?" A nut house is an old slang term for a mental hospital. Squidward is saying that SpongeBob is driving him crazy. SpongeBob answers, "No, just into this hole." He points at the grave. Squidward sighs and says, "SpongeBob, I have a confession to make." He takes off his nightcap. SpongeBob gasps and yells, "You're bald?" Squidward yells back, "No, I'm not bald. I'm alive. Now get rid of that tombstone and tell all your friends to go home." SpongeBob tries to argue, but Squidward commands, "Do it." SpongeBob turns to the crowd of mourners and says sadly, "Go home." Everyone gets back on the bus, looking disappointed. SpongeBob tries one more time. "But Master," Squidward interrupts. "I'm not your master, I'm your neighbor. Now do me a favor and stop doing me favors." He walks away. SpongeBob says, "As you wish, Master." Squidward groans in frustration. The lie is finally over. Squidward admitted the truth. But SpongeBob and Patrick do not believe him. Patrick says, "Boy, he really had us fooled." SpongeBob responds, "No, Patrick, he's the fool. He's a ghost in denial. He needs us now more than ever." Patrick agrees. "You're right. He really needs to get up to the great beyond." The great beyond means heaven or the afterlife. SpongeBob says, "Patrick, say that again." Patrick repeats, "That again." SpongeBob says, "No, the other thing." Patrick repeats, "No, the other thing." SpongeBob gets annoyed. "No, what you said before when you..." Patrick keeps repeating everything SpongeBob says. Finally, SpongeBob gives up. "Never mind, I've got an idea." Patrick repeats again. "Never mind, I've got an idea." SpongeBob gets even more annoyed. They have a plan to send Squidward to heaven. The scene cuts to Squidward sitting outside in his chair, relaxing. SpongeBob is trying to blow a bubble big enough to reach Squidward. He says, "I can't reach him." Patrick yells, "Blow harder." SpongeBob blows a bigger bubble, and this time it reaches Squidward. The bubble wraps around him and lifts him gently from his chair. Squidward does not notice at first that he is floating. Patrick says, "There he goes." SpongeBob says, "Isn't he beautiful?" Patrick asks, "How high is he going to go?" Squidward finally notices he is floating in a bubble. SpongeBob says, "All the way, Patrick, up to the great beyond." Both SpongeBob and Patrick wave at Squidward. "Goodbye, friend." Patrick adds, "Happy trails." Squidward pounds his fists on the bubble and tries to yell, but his voice is muffled by the soapy wall. All that comes through are strange noises. SpongeBob and Patrick think he is saying, "Thank you." They both say, "You're welcome." The bubble floats up above the ocean's surface. SpongeBob says, "He's on the other side now." Patrick agrees. Yeah, he's in a better place. The final shot shows Squidward floating above the sea at Bikini Atoll Island, trapped in a bubble with seagulls flying around him. He moans in misery as the episode ends. This episode shows us something very important about Squidward's character. He is not just grumpy. He is not just annoyed by his neighbors. He is willing to lie and manipulate them for his own benefit. When he realized SpongeBob and Patrick thought he was a ghost, he could have corrected them immediately. Instead, he saw an opportunity. He saw a chance to have servants. He saw a chance to have power over the two people who annoy him most, and he took that chance without any guilt. Squidward made them carry him around. He made them feed him. He made SpongeBob try to play music on a tissue for an entire day and night. He made Patrick search for a pie just so he could throw it in his face. He called them slaves. He gave them impossible tasks just to watch them fail. He enjoyed every moment of it. When he said, "I think I'm beginning to like this," he meant it. He liked having control. He liked being obeyed. He liked watching them suffer. What makes this even worse is that SpongeBob and Patrick were trying to help him. They thought they had accidentally killed him. They were terrified of being haunted. They genuinely wanted to make things right. And Squidward took advantage of that fear and guilt. He used their kindness against them. When they tried to bury him properly, because they learned about the Flying Dutchman's story, they were trying to give him peace. But Squidward only cared about getting his chores done. Even when Squidward admitted the truth, SpongeBob and Patrick refused to believe him. They thought he was a ghost in denial. So they trapped him in a bubble and sent him floating into the sky. The episode ends with Squidward getting exactly what he deserves. He lied, manipulated, and abused his neighbors. And now he's floating above the ocean, trapped in a bubble, surrounded by seagulls, unable to escape. He wanted peace and quiet. He wanted to be left alone. Instead, he is completely alone, floating helplessly, while SpongeBob and Patrick think they helped him reach heaven. This episode aired on October 2nd, 1999, and it establishes something important about Squidward's character that would continue throughout the series. He is not just a victim of SpongeBob's enthusiasm. He is someone who will actively scheme and lie if he thinks it will benefit him. He believes he deserves better than his current life. He believes he deserves to be served. He believes SpongeBob and Patrick exist only to annoy him. So when he gets a chance to flip that relationship and make them serve him instead, he takes it without hesitation. This is who Squidward is. He resents his neighbors. He wants solitude. And he is willing to lie to get it. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode SB-129. SB-129 aired on December 31st, 1999, the very last day of the millennium. And it may be the darkest episode SpongeBob SquarePants ever produced in its first season. This is the episode where Squidward gets exactly what he says he wants: complete isolation from SpongeBob and Patrick, and discovers that being completely alone is actually his worst nightmare. The episode takes Squidward through time itself and shows us that his desire for solitude has limits he never knew existed. The episode opens on a Sunday morning in Bikini Bottom. The French narrator tells us that it is time for Squidward to practice his clarinet and suggests we get our earplugs ready. This is a joke about how bad Squidward's clarinet playing sounds to everyone else. But Squidward does not see it that way. He kisses his clarinet and says, "I think I'll treat Bikini Bottom to some real music." He genuinely believes he is good at playing the clarinet. He thinks he is talented. He thinks people should appreciate his music. But before he can even start playing, SpongeBob's alarm clock goes off next door. The sound is so loud that it sends Squidward's clarinet flying into his throat. He struggles to pull it out while making choking sounds. SpongeBob opens his window and says cheerfully, "Good morning, Squidward. Want to go jellyfishing?" Every time Squidward tries to yell back, the clarinet stuck in his throat makes sounds instead of words. SpongeBob takes this as a yes. "Great, we'll be right over." Squidward finally pulls the clarinet out of his throat, just as he hears knocking on his door. He says sarcastically, "I wonder who that could be." He already knows it is SpongeBob and Patrick. He opens the door, and SpongeBob asks, "Ready to go?" Squidward yells, "No, I'm not ready to go," and slams the door shut. Patrick says to SpongeBob, "He doesn't want to play with us." But SpongeBob responds, "No, Patrick, he's just not ready." This shows that SpongeBob genuinely does not understand that Squidward does not like them. He thinks Squidward is just busy or needs more time. Squidward tries to play his clarinet again, but another knock interrupts him. He opens the door. SpongeBob asks, "Ready now?" Squidward yells, "No," and slams the door. He goes back to his clarinet, but another knock comes. He opens the door angrily. SpongeBob asks, "How about now?" Squidward yells, "No," and slams the door. This pattern repeats over and over again.
SpongeBob keeps knocking and asking if Squidward is ready.
Squidward keeps saying no and slamming the door. The knocking happens so many times that Squidward starts opening the door before SpongeBob even asks the question. Finally, after one more slam, Squidward opens the door again, but SpongeBob and Patrick are gone. Then SpongeBob taps Squidward on the shoulder from behind. "Ready yet?" Squidward loses his temper completely. "No, I'm not ready. I'll never be ready. Don't you get it?" SpongeBob says calmly, "Sure we do." Squidward stammers in frustration, shuts the door, and leaves his house. Then he realizes he just locked himself outside. He runs back and knocks on his own door. SpongeBob opens it and asks, "Ready?" Squidward slaps his forehead in frustration, then pushes both SpongeBob and Patrick out of his house. Squidward yells, "Out! Sheesh!
Shouldn't you be at work today, SpongeBob?
SpongeBob responds happily, "I'd love to be at work today, but it's Sunday. The Krusty Krab is closed." This gives Squidward an idea. He tells them to hold on a second and that he will be right out. He closes the door, but instead of actually coming back out, he sneaks out the other way and heads to the Krusty Krab. He enters the empty restaurant and says, "Hello?" There is silence. He smiles and says, "Ah, alone at last." He tries to play his clarinet, but then he hears SpongeBob and Patrick outside calling his name. "Squidward! Squidward!" Squidward panics and runs into the kitchen. SpongeBob and Patrick enter the Krusty Krab and start searching for him. Squidward runs into the freezer to hide. He peeks out and watches as SpongeBob and Patrick look around. SpongeBob says, "Well, he's not here. I'll bet that eager beaver's already down at Jellyfish Fields." They leave. Squidward laughs and says, "Aha, they're finally gone." He tries to open the freezer door, but it will not budge. He tries multiple times, pulling and pushing, but the door stays shut. Locked? Oh no! Squidward realizes he is trapped. But he stays calm. "Oh well, someone will realize I'm gone and come looking for me. I'll be out of here in no time." Then the French narrator says 4 words that change everything. 2,000 years later. The scene shows Squidward still inside the freezer, completely frozen in a block of ice. The hinges on the door are rusty. They fall off. The door falls forward, with Squidward frozen behind it. A robot flies past, then comes back to look at Squidward. The robot says, "Holy Krabby Patties, a frozen cephalopod." The robot is holding a chrome hammer. A red laser comes out of the hammer and melts the ice. The laser also hits Squidward's butt, making him scream. But even after waking up, Squidward is still in a trance. He repeats the last thing he said before freezing. "I'll be out of here in no time." The robot speaks to him. "Greetings, Primitive." Squidward looks at the robot and asks, "SpongeBob? Is that you?" The robot answers, "SpongeBob? No, I am Spongetron. Welcome to the future." Squidward asks, "What?" Spongetron repeats, "Welcome to the future." Squidward looks around confused and says, the future? Huh? Okay, what's going on here? Why is everything chrome?" Spongetron responds, "Everything is chrome in the future." Squidward stammers and runs to look out a window. He sees the entire city made of shiny chrome. The screen pans around to show the chrome buildings, chrome ground, chrome everything. Squidward says, "Impossible! He's lying!" Then a flower pops up from underground. A truck drives up. Someone gets out, runs to the flower, sprays it with chrome spray paint, gets back in the truck, and drives away. The flower is now chrome like everything else. Squidward looks away from the window and admits, "He's right." Spongetron says, "Of course I'm right, Squidward. Just ask my clones, Spongetrons X, Y, and Z." 3 more Spongetron robots suddenly appear next to them. Squidward jumps in surprise. He asks nervously, "Are the other letters of the alphabet involved here?" Spongetron answers, "Sure, all 486 of them." The camera shows a calendar on the wall that says March 6th, 4017 AD. This means Squidward was frozen for exactly 2,000 years. He entered the freezer on March 6th, 2017. Squidward starts doing sit-ups on the floor while saying, "Future, future, future, future," as if he is trying to wake himself up from a dream. Spongetron drops a brick on his head. Squidward says, "Thanks. Now listen, all of you. I don't belong here. This is all a horrible mistake. Please, we've got to do something." The three Spongetron clones pull out jellyfishing nets and say together, "Jellyfishing!" Then a two-headed Patrick appears. Both heads speak at once. "Did somebody say jellyfishing?" Spongetron greets him. "Hi, Patron." Squidward tries to explain again. Just listen to me. I'm not supposed to be here. I've got to get home to my own time period. I've got to go." Spongetron responds casually. "Well, why didn't you just ask? The time machine is down the hall to the left." Squidward runs toward the door, laughing with relief. He opens the door and goes inside. But instead of finding a time machine, he hears the sound of a can opener. When he steps back out, his body has been torn into pieces. He looks like a spring-shaped patch of skin. Spongetron says, "Oops, oh yeah, that one's the can opener, but try the one on the right." Squidward goes to the door on the right. He enters a pink and green room with a machine that has a slot and a lever. The machine says "Past" and "Future" on it, with a key near the slot. Squidward looks around and says, "Well, I wouldn't have chosen this interior." Then he notices the time travel controls. "Oh, what's this? Well, if SpongeBob exists in the future, I'd better go to the past." He turns the key and puts the lever on "Past." A siren goes off. The time machine disappears from the Krusty Krab. Spongetron waves goodbye. The door and walls fly through a colorful tunnel that looks like hyperspace. Then the time machine appears in a very different place. Squidward looks outside and sees an ancient sea creature swim by. He can hear whale sounds in the distance. Wow, primitive. Has sort of an old world charm. A snake-like creature swims very close to his face. Whoa, I guess this is before manners were invented. Well, at least there's no sign of Spongebrat. Maybe now I can finally be alone with my clarinet. He hears a noise and turns around, but a shadow quickly hides. He hears another noise and checks again, but a different shadow hides. He keeps hearing noises and seeing shadows moving around. He walks forward cautiously. Then he sees someone on the ground. It is a prehistoric version of SpongeBob, covered in hair and wearing a loincloth. Squidward says, "SpongeBob?" The primitive sponge screams. Squidward backs away. "Stay back!" The primitive sponge touches Squidward's arm, then sniffs his finger from what he touched. He tries to offer some to Squidward. No thanks." Then Squidward feels someone breathing on him. He turns and sees a prehistoric version of Patrick breathing on him. The prehistoric Patrick smiles, showing nasty, rotten teeth. Squidward says nervously, hi there. Well, I better be going now." The primitive SpongeBob grabs Squidward's tentacle. Squidward says, "Yes, that's my arm." The primitive SpongeBob puts Squidward's arm on his head. The prehistoric Patrick licks his own hand. Squidward says, "Oh, that's sweet." Then the prehistoric Patrick gets scared. He smashes on the ground and starts shivering. Squidward asks, "What, is it time for your flea bath now?" A jellyfish swims by, and the prehistoric Patrick ducks for protection. Squidward says, "Oh, look, it's just a little jellyfish." The primitive SpongeBob and prehistoric Patrick run around screaming. Squidward says, "Well, I'm going away now." He walks away and finds a shady spot. Ah, here's a nice shady spot, away from those fools. Squidward sits down and tries to play his clarinet, but every time he plays a note, The primitive SpongeBob and prehistoric Patrick scream in pain while passing the jellyfish back and forth between them. The jellyfish is stinging them over and over. Squidward gets frustrated. "What are you simpletons doing? You're supposed to catch these things, not torture yourself with them." The primitive creatures look confused. Squidward says, "Give me those loincloths." They each tear off a piece of their loincloth and hand it to him. Squidward mumbles to himself while he creates nets out of the cloth. He shows them the finished nets. "This ought to make things go a little smoother." He gives them the nets. They put the nets on their lips. Squidward slaps his forehead in frustration and grabs the nets back. "Give me those things. You're supposed to catch them, like this." He demonstrates by catching the jellyfish in one of the nets. It's called jellyfishing. The primitive SpongeBob and prehistoric Patrick grab the nets and chase after the jellyfish. Squidward smiles. Finally. He sits down and plays his clarinet. But when the primitive creatures hear the clarinet music, they go crazy. They chase Squidward. He runs back to the time machine, screaming. The primitive SpongeBob and prehistoric Patrick try to get inside by climbing on top of it. Squidward screams, "Get me out of here!" He frantically moves the lever up and down, trying to escape, but he moves it too hard and the lever snaps off in his hand. Uh-oh. The word future on the machine spins like a slot machine. It stops on 2 lemons and a bar. The machine speaks in a mechanical voice. "Loser." The primitive SpongeBob and prehistoric Patrick keep banging on the time machine, trying to get to Squidward. Then the machine disappears. The time machine shakes from the inside with Squidward terrified. The camera zooms in on his face. A color change effect happens. Squidward mouths the words, "What's going on?" But no sound comes out. The screen flashes white. The time machine goes through all sorts of strange dimensions. In one dimension, everything looks like computer graphics. The time machine folds like a piece of paper. Then it vanishes with a zap sound. Squidward appears in a completely blank white space. There is nothing here. No ground, no sky, no objects, no color except white. He walks around and hears a strange voice. He notices some colored tiles on the ground and lifts one up. The tile floats and vanishes. Squidward says, "He's not here. No more SpongeBob. No more. I may finally have found a place where I can be all..." Suddenly, Squidward becomes tiny. His voice gets high-pitched as he finishes the sentence. "Alone." The moment he says the word alone, many voices start repeating it. Alone, 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 alone. The voices keep chanting alone over and over. The screen keeps getting smaller and smaller with each repetition. Squidward suddenly appears closer to the camera and speaks directly to it. "I gotta get out of here." He tries to run away, but when he runs off the edge of the screen and immediately appears again on the other side. He stops and tries to catch his breath. A strange voice is heard again. He holds his head, sweats, and runs again. He runs off and on the scene 3 times before stopping. Another strange voice is heard. Squidward yells, "Where's the time machine? Where's anything? Where?" He jumps up and down angrily. When he lands, he busts a hole through the white ground and falls into the time machine. The lever is still broken off. Squidward bangs on the broken controls and starts crying. "I want to go home. I 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 miss Bikini Bottom. I miss my Easter Island head. I even miss SpongeBob." The exact moment Squidward says SpongeBob, the time machine disappears and reappears in present-time Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob and Patrick are still standing in front of Squidward's house, waiting for him. Squidward yells, "SpongeBob! Patrick!" They turn and say together, "Hi, Squidward." Squidward is overwhelmed with emotion. "Oh, I'm back. I can't believe this.
I was in space, and I went to the future, and then I went to the past, and then I was nowhere, but now I'm back, and you don't know how happy I am to see you guys.
SpongeBob starts to ask, "Does this mean you want to go?" Both SpongeBob and Patrick finish together. "Jellyfishing?" Squidward yells back, "No, don't."
Who's the barnacle head who invented that game anyway?
SpongeBob and Patrick answer together, "You are, Squidward." This is the final twist. Squidward invented jellyfishing. The thing he has been running from throughout this entire episode, through time itself, is something he created. Squidward turns his head to face the camera with a shocked expression. SpongeBob and Patrick laugh.
The scene cuts to Bikini Atoll on the surface of the ocean.
Squidward says, "I'm going back." The episode ends. This episode is important because it reveals something very dark about Squidward's personality. He constantly says he wants to be alone. He constantly complains about SpongeBob and Patrick. He runs away from them. He hides from them. He locks himself in a freezer just to avoid them. But when he actually experiences true isolation, when he is in a place where there is nothing and no one, he cannot handle it. The white void is his breaking point. In the future, there were at least robot versions of SpongeBob and Patrick. In the past, there were primitive versions. But in the void, there was absolutely nothing. Just emptiness. Just the word alone echoing endlessly. Squidward thought he wanted to be completely alone. He thought that would make him happy, but the episode proves he was wrong. When faced with true loneliness, Squidward breaks down. He cries. He begs to go home. And most importantly, he says he misses SpongeBob. This is huge. Throughout the series, Squidward constantly claims he hates SpongeBob. But when stripped of everything, when placed in actual isolation, he admits the truth. He needs other people in his life, even if those people annoy him. The fact that Squidward invented jellyfishing makes this even more interesting. He created the very activity that SpongeBob and Patrick love. He is the reason they keep asking him to go jellyfishing. In a way, he created his own problem. But more than that, it suggests that Squidward might have enjoyed jellyfishing at some point in the past. Maybe he used to be more like SpongeBob. Maybe he used to be happier. Maybe his bitterness and desire for isolation came later. The episode also explores the concept of time travel and what happens when someone is completely removed from their normal life. Squidward gets frozen for 2,000 years because nobody came looking for him. This means that when he disappeared on Sunday morning, SpongeBob and Patrick assumed he just went to Jellyfish Fields. Mr. Krabs probably assumed Squidward was at home. Nobody realized he was missing. Nobody checked the freezer. For 2,000 years, Squidward was trapped alone in that freezer, frozen solid, while the world moved on without him. This would be terrifying for anyone, but for someone who claims to want isolation, it is especially dark. When Squidward finally returns to his own time, only a few minutes have passed. SpongeBob and Patrick are still standing in the same spot, still waiting to ask him about jellyfishing. From their perspective, Squidward just disappeared for a few seconds. But from Squidward's perspective, he traveled thousands of years into the future, thousands of years into the past, and spent time in a void of nothingness. He experienced complete isolation and discovered it was his worst fear. And yet, when he gets back and they ask if he wants to go jellyfishing, he still says no. This is what makes the ending so perfect and so sad. Squidward learned nothing. He had this huge experience. He faced his deepest fear. He admitted he missed SpongeBob. But when given the chance to actually spend time with them, he refuses. He yells. He insults them. And then, when he realizes he invented jellyfishing, he says he is going back. He would rather go back into the void, back into isolation, back into nothingness, than spend time with his neighbors. SB 129 aired on December 31st, 1999, and it remains one of the most creative and dark episodes of the series. It takes Squidward's desire for solitude and pushes it to its logical extreme. It asks the question, what would happen if Squidward actually got what he wanted? And the answer is devastating. He would break down. He would cry. He would beg to go home. Because what Squidward says he wants and what he actually needs are two completely different things. He needs community. He needs neighbors. He needs SpongeBob and Patrick, even if he will never admit it out loud. This episode proves that Squidward's biggest fear is not annoying neighbors. His biggest fear is being completely, utterly, forever alone. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode Band Geeks. Band Geeks. Band Geeks aired on September 7th, 2001, and it is considered by many fans to be the greatest SpongeBob SquarePants episode ever made. This is the episode where Squidward finally wins. After 2 seasons of failure, embarrassment, and constant disappointment, Squidward gets to experience genuine success. But more importantly, this episode introduces us to Squilliam Fancyson, Squidward's rival from high school, and shows us exactly why Squidward is so desperate for recognition and validation. The episode begins at Squidward's house. Music is playing, which turns out to be Squidward on his clarinet. The doorbell rings. A doctor is at the door with another person. The doctor says, "Yeah, we're with the pet hospital down the street, and I understand you have a dying animal on the premises?" This is a joke about how bad Squidward's clarinet playing sounds. To these people passing by, it sounded like an animal was dying inside the house. Squidward slams the door shut, clearly offended. The phone rings. Squidward picks it up and answers with a greeting he has clearly rehearsed. "Hello, you've reached the House of Unrecognized Talent. Please start after the..." He plays a single note on his clarinet. This greeting tells us everything about how Squidward sees himself. He believes he has talent. He believes he is special, but he also believes nobody recognizes it. The phrase unrecognized talent is perfect because it shows that Squidward blames the world for not seeing his greatness, rather than accepting that maybe he is not as talented as he thinks. A voice on the phone says, "Sounds as though you've got a dying animal to attend to, eh, old chum?" Squidward gasps. "Squilliam Fancyson from band class?" This is the first time we meet Squilliam, and the first time we learn that Squidward went to band class in school. Squilliam responds, "I hear you're playing the cash register now." This is an insult. Squilliam is saying that Squidward works as a cashier, which is not an impressive job for someone who considered themselves an artist. Squidward stutters, "Sometimes, how's the unibrow?" Squidward tries to insult Squilliam back by making fun of his unibrow, which is a single thick eyebrow across both eyes. Squilliam waves his unibrow proudly and says, "It's big and valuable. I'm the leader of a big fancy band now, and we're supposed to play at the Bubble Bowl next week." Squidward's reaction is important. He says, "The bu-bu-bu, the bu-bu-bu, the bu-bu-bu?" He cannot even finish the sentence. He is so shocked that Squilliam is going to play at the Bubble Bowl that he can only stutter. The Bubble Bowl is clearly a very important venue. It is the underwater equivalent of playing at a major stadium. Squilliam continues, "That's right. I'm living your dreams, Squidward." This one sentence reveals so much. Squilliam knows exactly what Squidward wanted in life. They went to band class together. They both wanted to be musicians. They both dreamed of playing at big venues. But Squilliam succeeded, and Squidward failed. And Squilliam knows it. He is calling specifically to rub it in Squidward's face. He says, "The problem is, I'm busy next week and can't make it. So I was hoping you and your band could cover for us." Squidward stutters, "Oh, Squilliam laughs and says, "I knew it. You don't even have a band. Well, I'll just let you get back to the service industry now." Squidward snaps, "Hold it. It just so happens that I don't sell fast food. I do have a band, and we're gonna play that Bubble Bowl." How do you like that, fancy boy? This is a complete lie. Squidward does work in fast food. He is a cashier at the Krusty Krab, and he does not have a band. But he cannot let Squilliam win. He cannot let Squilliam look down on him. So he lies. Squilliam says, "Good luck next Tuesday. I hope the audience brings lots of ibuprofen." Ibuprofen is pain medicine. Squilliam is saying that Squidward's music will give people headaches. Both of them hang up their phones. Squidward realizes what he just did. He told Squilliam he has a band. Now he actually needs to create one. He says, "I've got to drum up a marching band fast. Drum, band, humor." He is making a joke about the word drum because drums are part of a band. Nobody is there to hear the joke, but he laughs anyway. This shows that Squidward thinks he is clever even when nobody else is around. The scene transitions to different characters reading from a poster that Squidward put up around town. Sandy reads, "Looking to add fulfillment to your dull, dull life?" Plankton reads, "Then become part of the greatest musical sensation ever to hit Bikini Bottom." Mrs. Puff reads, "And be forever adored by thousands of people you don't know." Mr. Krabs reads, "Not to mention free refreshments." Larry reads, "Practice begins tonight, 8:30 sharp." The poster is clearly designed to appeal to people who want attention and fame. The only practical benefit mentioned is free food, which got Mr. Krabs interested. The scene shows Squidward looking at his watch, which reads 8:35. He is driving a cart full of musical instruments, sheet music, and marching uniforms. He says, "Stupid music rental clerk made me late. That trilobite didn't know an oboe from an elbow." Elbow. More band humor. Squidward is blaming the rental clerk for making him late, but really he just did not plan well. He also makes another band joke that nobody hears. An oboe is a musical instrument. He is comparing it to an elbow, which sounds similar. He thinks this is funny. Inside the practice room, everyone is talking amongst themselves. They are literally saying blah 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 out loud. Squidward enters and walks to the front. People, settle down." The room gets quiet. "Okay now, how many of you have played musical instruments before?" Plankton raises his hand. He is holding a triangle, which is a simple instrument shaped like a triangle that you hit with a small metal stick. Plankton asks, "Do instruments of torture count?" Squidward says, "No." Patrick raises his hand. He is holding a trombone. "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" Squidward responds, "No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument." Patrick raises his hand again. Squidward adds, "Horseradish is not an instrument either." Patrick lowers his hand. These questions show that Patrick has absolutely no idea what a musical instrument is. Squidward says, "That's fine, no one has any experience. Fortunately, I have enough talent for all of you." He slaps his knee and laughs at his own statement. Nobody else laughs. This is typical Squidward behavior. He thinks he is so talented that he can make up for everyone else's lack of skill. Mr. Krabs asks, "When do we get the free food?" This is all Mr. Krabs cares about. He did not join the band for music. He joined for the free refreshments. Squidward says, "Okay, try to repeat after me." He plays a 6-note scale on his clarinet. "Brass section, go." The brass section tries to play the same notes, but it sounds terrible. Squidward says, "Good," even though it was bad. "Now the wind." The wind section plays, and it also sounds terrible. "And the drums." The drummers do not understand how drums work. They blow on their drumsticks like they are wind instruments. The drumsticks shoot out of their mouths like rockets and pin Squidward to the wall. Squidward says, "Too bad that didn't kill me." He would rather be dead than deal with this band. The scene transitions to later. Squidward says, "Let's just try stepping in rhythm. Now, I want everyone to stand in straight rows of 5. SpongeBob raises his hand. "Is this the part where we start kicking?" Squidward responds, "No, SpongeBob. That's a chorus line. A chorus line is a type of dance performance where people kick their legs in sync. SpongeBob confused marching with dancing. Patrick hears the word kicking and says, "Kicking? I want to do some kicking." He kicks Sandy in the leg. Sandy gets angry. Why I oughta... She jumps on Patrick and starts beating him up. They roll outside while fighting. The doors slam shut. Everyone inside can hear Patrick screaming in pain. Then Patrick opens the door and sticks his head in. "Whoever's the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on." This is a random announcement that has nothing to do with the fight. Patrick walks back in and we see that Sandy has stuffed his body into a trombone. His head is sticking out of the bell. As he walks, the trombone makes sounds with each step. When he sits down, it makes a long note. The French narrator announces, "Day 2." The band is marching down a street while playing. They still sound terrible. Squidward is trying to stay positive. "Okay, that's perfect, everybody. Bubble Bowl, here we come. Flag twirlers, really spin those things. Okay, turn. Flag twirlers, let's go. I want to see some spinning. Flag twirlers, let's move. Come on, move." The flag twirlers spin their flags so hard that they fly up into the sky. They crash into a blimp, which explodes. Someone plays taps on a trumpet. Taps is a song played at funerals and memorial services. Everyone bows their heads and mourns the flag twirlers who just died. Squidward lies down on the ground and curls into a ball. He has completely given up. The French narrator announces, "Day 3." Squidward asks, "How's that harmonica solo coming, Plankton?" A harmonica is a small instrument that you blow into. Plankton is so tiny that he has to run back and forth across the harmonica to play different notes. He says, "It's tremendous. You want to see?" He starts running and playing the harmonica, but he runs out of breath. On his way to the last note, he is panting and moving very slowly. He blows a weak sound into the harmonica and collapses from exhaustion. The French narrator announces, "Day 4." Squidward says, "Well, this is our last night together before the show, and I know that you haven't improved since we began." Patrick is chewing on a trumpet like it is food. Squidward continues, "But I have a theory. People talk loud when they want to act smart, right?" Plankton yells loudly, "Correct!" This proves Squidward's point. Squidward says, "So, if we play loud, people might think we're good. Everybody ready?" Everyone grins and raises their instruments. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. The screen shows the outside of the building. A massive blast of noise comes out, shattering all the windows. Inside, Squidward's face is completely deformed. His shirt is ripped. The top half of his conducting stick snaps off. The music was so bad and so loud that it physically hurt everyone. Squidward says, "Okay, new theory. Maybe we should play so quietly no one can hear us. If they play quietly enough, maybe people will not notice how bad they are." But then Harold says, "Well, maybe we wouldn't sound so bad if some people didn't try to play with big, meaty claws." He is insulting Mr. Krabs, who has crab claws instead of hands. Mr. Krabs gets angry. "What did you say, punk?" Harold yells back. "Big, meaty claws." Mr. Krabs raises his claws like fists. "Well, these claws ain't for just attracting mates." Harold responds, "Bring it on, old man, bring it on." They are about to fight. SpongeBob stands between them. "No, people, let's be smart and bring it off." He is trying to calm everyone down by changing the phrase "bring it on" to "bring it off." But someone else says, "Oh, so now the talking cheese is gonna preach to us?" This person just called SpongeBob a talking cheese, which is an insult. Squidward tries to calm everyone. Wait, I know tensions are high, but it is too late. Everyone starts fighting. People are yelling at each other. Someone breaks a drum over someone else's body. Squidward yells, "There's a deposit on that equipment, people." He is more worried about the money than the fight. Everyone uses their instruments as weapons. Mr. Krabs and Harold charge at each other using their instruments like lances. Mrs. Puff slams them both with cymbals. Squidward keeps trying. Settle down, please! Sandy and another person are fighting. Sandy breaks the bars off a xylophone. Patrick kicks Sandy again. She growls at him and pulls out a trumpet with an evil smile. Patrick runs away screaming as Sandy chases him with the trumpet. The clock changes to 10 o'clock. Everyone immediately stops fighting. Someone says, "Hey, class is over." Everyone becomes friendly again. They say things like, "Okay, yeah, see you tomorrow. That was good. Say, what are you doing after?" They all walk toward the door like nothing happened. Squidward slams the door open and stands in front of them. He is furious. "Well, you did it. You took my one chance at happiness and crushed it. Crushed it into little, tiny, bite-sized pieces. I really had expected better of you people. I guess I'm a loser for that too. Don't bother showing up tomorrow. I'll just tell them you all died in a marching accident. So, thanks. Thanks for nothing." He starts crying and leaves. Patrick says, "You're welcome." Patrick did not understand that Squidward was being sarcastic. SpongeBob feels terrible. What kind of monsters are we? That poor creature came to us in his hour of need, and we failed him. Squidward's always been there for us when it was convenient for him. This is actually a very honest statement. Squidward has never really helped any of them, unless it also helped him. But SpongeBob continues. "Evelyn, when your little Jimmy was trapped in a fire, who rescued him?" Evelyn answers, "A fireman." SpongeBob says, "And Larry, when your heart gave out from all those tanning pills, who revived you?" Larry answers, "Some guy in an ambulance." SpongeBob says, "Right! So if we all could just pretend that Squidward was a fireman, or some guy in an ambulance, then I'm sure we could all pull together and discover what it truly means to be in a marching band." This speech makes no logical sense. SpongeBob is saying they should pretend Squidward is someone he is not, so they can help him. But somehow it works. Harold yells, "Yeah, for the fireman!" Everyone cheers. SpongeBob says, "Now let's make Squidward proud." He raises a conducting stick. A 1, a 2, a skiddly-diddly-doo. The implication is that they practice all night and finally get good. The scene transitions to the Bubble Bowl entrance. Squidward is talking to himself. "I knew this was going to happen. They're just going to have to find another band to play. I just hope that Squilliam doesn't find out." "Squilliam!" He screams because Squilliam is standing right there. Squilliam laughs. "I just wanted to watch you blow it. So, where's your band?" Squidward says, they couldn't come. They died." This is the excuse he planned to use. He told them they died in a marching accident. Squilliam points behind Squidward. "Then who's that?" SpongeBob and the rest of the band are standing there. Squidward screams and his eyes pop out of his head in shock. "That would be my band," SpongeBob says happily. "We're ready to perform, Squidward." Squilliam looks at the band and says, "Well, Squiddy, this is exactly how I pictured your band would look." The camera shows SpongeBob dancing cheerfully with a huge smile. He looks ridiculous. Squidward tries to defend him. That's his eager face. Squilliam laughs as Squidward and the band walk past him and enter the Bubble Bowl. Squilliam follows behind them. Squidward says, "I guess this will be the last time I can show my face in this town." SpongeBob responds, "That's the spirit, Squidward." He thinks Squidward is being positive, but Squidward is actually saying he will be so embarrassed that he will have to leave town forever. The camera shows an American football stadium. An announcer says, "Okay, football fans, put your hands together for the Bikini Bottom Super Band." The band rises out of the ground on a platform. The crowd is shown, and it is made of real people waving towels and cheering. This is live-action footage mixed with animation. Patrick looks at the crowd and says, "These are some ugly-looking fish." SpongeBob says, "Maybe we're near one of those toxic waste dumps." Mr. Krabs says, "I think I'm gonna be sick." They do not realize these are humans. They think humans are ugly fish. Squidward is terrified. He looks at Squilliam, who is grinning. Squidward says nervously, "Okay, everybody, let's get this over with. 1, 2, 3, 4. He flinches on the word 4, expecting disaster. But then something amazing happens. The band plays perfectly. The horn section plays a clean fanfare. Squidward opens his eyes in shock. Plankton plays the opening notes of a song called Sweet Victory on a keyboard. The band separates to reveal SpongeBob standing in the spotlight. SpongeBob starts singing. His voice is actually the voice of a singer named David Glenn Isley, who recorded the song. The lyrics are about winning and never giving up. The band plays perfectly, with pyrotechnics and lasers going off. The crowd waves lighters in the air. Squilliam stares in shock. Squidward grins at him. He throws his conducting stick behind him and points with both arms. He is no longer worried about conducting. The band knows what to do. Multiple band members are shown playing: Sandy on guitar, Mr. Krabs on keytar, and Plankton singing backup vocals. Squidward is making emotional gestures along with the music. He is completely caught up in the moment. Squilliam clutches his chest and faints. His eyes roll back. He is carried away on a stretcher. Squidward waves a smug goodbye to him and runs to the middle of the stage. He raises his fists as pyrotechnics go off around him. Mrs. Puff is shown playing guitar and gritting her teeth with intensity. Patrick plays a drum solo. Squidward dances wildly. At the end of the song, Squidward jumps in the air in triumph. The scene freezes on this moment. The screen fades to black. The episode ends. Band Geeks is special because it is the only time in the early seasons where Squidward achieves complete success. He wanted to prove himself to Squilliam. He wanted to show that he was talented and successful. And he did. The band performed perfectly. The crowd loved them. Squilliam literally fainted from shock. Squidward won. For once in his life, everything worked out exactly how he wanted. This episode proves that Squidward is not talentless. He is not a complete failure. When given the right circumstances and the right help, he can succeed. The problem is that those circumstances almost never happen. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode Squid's Day Off. Squid's Day Off. Squid's Day Off aired on February 17th, 2001, and it is one of the most important episodes for understanding Squidward's mental state. This is the episode where Squidward gets exactly what he claims to want: a day off with pay while being in charge. But he completely loses his mind because he cannot trust SpongeBob to do the job correctly. The episode shows us that Squidward's problems are not just external. They come from inside his own head. He is his own worst enemy. The episode opens with jellyfish flying peacefully through the water. The French narrator says, "Ah, beautiful springtime, a time for fun and frolic for most, but not for this poor slob." The camera shows Squidward standing at the front door of the Krusty Krab, looking worried and miserable. He says to himself, "Oh, what a beautiful day, and here I am, trapped in a prison of high cholesterol." A bell dings. He continues, "No one ever comes in on Sunday." The bell dings again. "Why can't Mr. Krabs just let us go home?" The bell dings a third time. Squidward gets angry and runs up to SpongeBob, who is the one ringing the bell. "SpongeBob, stop ringing this bell." He picks it up and slams it on the bottom of the order window. SpongeBob says, "I was just testing it." Squidward leans through the order window, getting right in SpongeBob's face. "I will ring the bell when there's an order, but..." The camera zooms out to show that the restaurant is completely empty. "There's no customers," There hasn't been one all day, and there isn't gonna be any. Squidward struggles to pick up the cash register. He lifts it successfully and slams it down in frustration. The register makes a bell noise from the impact. SpongeBob says cheerfully, "One Krabby Patty coming up." Squidward yells, "No!" The register drawer shoots open, knocking Squidward out of the way. A bunch of coins fall onto the floor. The scene changes to Mr. Krabs in his office, writing something on a sheet of paper. He stops when he hears the noise. "That sounds like me money droppin'." The camera shows Squidward outside the office, quickly picking up the coins. Mr. Krabs opens his office door. "What's going on out here? My babies!" He runs up to Squidward and shoves him away. "Get away, you barbarian! What have you done? Nice clean money. Soiled." He scoops up the coins in his claws. "I'll take care of ya. Let Papa clean you up." The scene shows SpongeBob staring out from the order window. Mr. Krabs yells, "Clear the way!" He runs into the kitchen and starts washing the coins in the sink. No, don't cry, little ones." SpongeBob taps Mr. Krabs on the shoulder. "What's wrong, Mr. Krabs?" Mr. Krabs gets startled and accidentally throws the coins in the air. One coin rolls into the sink and starts rolling toward the drain. Mr. Krabs yells, "Me dime!" The dime rolls around the edge of the drain. Just as it seems like it will fall down, it flips over, facing away from the drain. Mr. Krabs gives a sigh of relief. Then the dime jumps, winks at the camera, and goes down the drain. Mr. Krabs screams, "No!" He quickly sticks his claw into the drain and catches the dime. "I got it, boy!" He tries to take his claw out. "What the? It's stuck!" "You gotta help me, SpongeBob." SpongeBob says, "You've gotta let go of the dime." Mr. Krabs responds, "I can think of 10 good reasons to never let go of a dime, boy. There's got to be another way. Grab me Captain's quarters and heave." SpongeBob pulls on Mr. Krabs from behind a couple times until Mr. Krabs gets thrown back. His arms rip off and stay stuck in the drain. Krabs yells, "Me arms!" SpongeBob says, "Oh no, not again." This implies that Mr. Krabs has lost his arms before. Mr. Krabs hits the wall. The impact causes a shelf above him to tilt. Several objects fall onto his head, one at a time. A pot, a glass, a pan, a mug, a treasure chest, an anchor, a buoy, and a deep-sea diving suit. A giant bump rises up on Mr. Krabs' head. Then a dime falls on the bump, causing Mr. Krabs to fall over and black out. The scene changes to show an ambulance outside the Krusty Krab. 2 paramedics carry Mr. Krabs out on a stretcher. Mr. Krabs says, "Wait!" The paramedics stop moving. "Squidward, I'm putting you in charge of things around here while I'm gone." Squidward smiles. "You can count on me, sir." The 2 paramedics continue carrying Mr. Krabs out. A 3rd paramedic carries out Mr. Krabs' arms separately. Squidward waves and says, "Take care, hurry back, get well soon, you're in our thoughts." The final paramedic enters the ambulance and it drives off. Squidward says cheerfully, "Takes more muscles to frown than to smile." Then he shuts the door and his expression changes completely. "Okay, SpongeBob, let's get down to business. My first official act as new manager is to give you a promotion." SpongeBob's pupils turn into stars. "Ah, really?" Squidward says, "You get to run the cash register." SpongeBob says, "The cash register? Wow." "Squidward, who's gonna work the grill?" Squidward answers, "You are. It's part of the promotion I mentioned earlier. You'll be wearing 2 hats now. You're gonna take the orders, and then you're gonna make them." He puts his hat next to SpongeBob's hat. SpongeBob says, This is the best day of my life." Squidward agrees. "Me too." SpongeBob asks, "But wait, if I'm running the register and the grill, what are you gonna do?" Squidward says, "I've got some very important boss-like errands to run. See you later." He starts to run off. SpongeBob calls out, "Squidward!" Squidward stops halfway out the door. "What is it?" SpongeBob says, "You forgot to teach me how to use the cash register." He rubs the cash register lovingly. Squidward says quickly, "You push the button and put the money inside. Okay, you're on your own." He walks off as SpongeBob hugs the cash register. SpongeBob says, "I can't believe this is really happening." He sits on the cash register box and starts to tear up. "Today I start living." This is important because it shows that SpongeBob is genuinely happy about this responsibility. He is not trying to cause problems. He just wants to do a good job. The scene changes to Squidward walking outside, talking to himself. "Well, Squidward, you've really outdone yourself this time. A beautiful day of relaxing and pampering. With pay." I guess I do kind of feel bad for poor little SpongeBob, all by his lonesome. Oh, it'll pass. He's probably just standing at the register with that stupid grin on his face. Then Squidward starts imagining what SpongeBob might be doing. In his imagination, SpongeBob and Patrick are in the Krusty Krab, with goofy looks on their faces. Thought Patrick says, "Hey, SpongeBob." Thought SpongeBob says, "Hey, Patrick." Thought Patrick asks, "Hey, SpongeBob, could you give me change for a quarter?" He holds up a quarter. Thought SpongeBob says, "No problem." He takes the quarter, bangs on the register until it opens, and gives Patrick a giant pile of money. "Here you go." Thought Patrick says, "Thanks." The scene goes back to reality. Squidward gasps, "I forgot to tell him how to make change. Oh!" He runs back to the restaurant, slamming the doors open. "Sponge!" He sees only SpongeBob in the Krusty Krab. "Bob!" He checks the cash register to see if everything is still there. He gives a sigh of relief. SpongeBob asks, "Hi, Squidward. All done with those errands?" Squidward says, "No, I am not. I just remembered I needed change for this $1. He pulls out $1 from his pocket. SpongeBob asks, "Do you want 4 quarters?" He holds up 4 quarters on his fingertips. "Or 10 dimes?" He shows 10 dimes on his left hand. "Or 20 nickels?" He shows 10 nickels on each arm. "Or 100 pennies?" He shows 100 pennies on his back. "Or 1 quarter, 3 dimes, 7 nickels, and 10 pennies?" He shows a quarter spinning on his long nose, 3 dimes on his fingers, 7 nickels on his thumb, and 10 pennies arranged in the shape of a cent symbol on his foot. "Or, if you give me a $5 bill, your options are..." Squidward interrupts. "All right, goodbye." He walks off. This scene is important because it proves that SpongeBob knows exactly how to make change. He can do complex math instantly. He is not incompetent. But Squidward cannot accept this. The scene changes to Squidward's house. He comes out wearing sunglasses and a blue bathing suit, carrying a lawn chair, a sunbathing mirror, an umbrella hat, and a bottle of sunscreen. He says to himself, "This is great. My day off. No worries, just relaxation. I'm the boss. I deserve this." He sets his lawn chair down, puts the hat on, puts the mirror down, puts sunscreen on his nose, and starts to recline. Then his thoughts start. Everything will be fine. There won't be any customers today anyway. He'll probably just stand there, bored. He imagines SpongeBob behind the counter, just standing there. Squidward chuckles. SpongeBob, bored. He chuckles some more. In the imagination, SpongeBob says, getting kinda bored. He yawns and falls asleep, snoring. Then the Krusty Krab catches on fire and explodes. Squidward tries to blow out the fire, but it is a thought bubble, so it disappears. He starts running toward the Krusty Krab, but stops himself. Oh, what am I doing? I am wasting valuable, relaxing time. That's what I'm doing. I mean, really. What are the odds? SpongeBob setting the Krusty Krab on fire. Squidward walks back down the road, chuckling. Then a fire truck drives past him, coming from the direction of the Krusty Krab. Squidward panics and runs back to the restaurant with a fire extinguisher. He opens the door and sprays the kitchen with foam. As the foam clears, Squidward has a foam beard, and SpongeBob has a foam mustache. SpongeBob asks politely, "May I help you, sir?" Squidward wipes off his foam beard. "It's me, you dunce." SpongeBob says, "Oh, hi Squidward. How are those errands going?" His foam mustache falls off. Squidward says, "What's that supposed to mean?"
I'm very busy.
SpongeBob responds, "Well, I'm sure you are." Squidward says, "I don't like your tone." SpongeBob changes to a high-pitched voice. "I'm sure you are." He switches back to his normal voice.
How's that? Squidward yells. Just do your jobs.
He walks off. SpongeBob salutes. "Aye, aye, Mr. Tentacles." He puts the spatula in his forehead. Squidward leaves, grumbling. SpongeBob says to himself, "Boy, no wonder Mr. Krabs put him in charge." There was no fire. SpongeBob was doing nothing wrong. Squidward imagined the whole crisis. The scene changes to inside Squidward's house. He is struggling to stretch and relax. He cracks his back.
Lax.
He sits in his chair and pulls out a hand mirror. "Look at yourself. You're losing your bluish glow. Stop worrying so much. Now, repeat after me. You will not go back to the Krusty Krab." His reflection in the mirror turns into SpongeBob. Mirror SpongeBob says, "I will destroy the Krusty Krab." Squidward screams and throws the mirror at the wall. It shatters. He runs to the Krusty Krab. "SpongeBob!" SpongeBob starts to say, "Have you finished?" Squidward yells, "No!" He walks out. Squidward says to himself, "That's it. That's it. No matter what sick fantasies run through my mind, I will not go back to that restaurant." He walks into his house. Then he immediately runs out toward the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob says, "Have you finished those errands?" Squidward runs back to his house, then back to the Krusty Krab. "Have you finished those errands?" Squidward runs back to his house. "Have you finished those errands?" Squidward runs to the Krusty Krab. "Have you finished those errands?" Squidward keeps running back and forth, while SpongeBob keeps repeating the same question. Errands, 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 errands. Finally, Squidward enters the Krusty Krab and stops. He is sweating heavily from running back and forth. SpongeBob asks again, "Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands?" Squidward yells. "No, I am not finished with those errands, and I never will be, so quit checking up on me." He walks up to SpongeBob. "I know what you're up to." He hits the cash register while talking. "Forcing me to come back here every time you mess up." SpongeBob tries to explain. "But I haven't..." Squidward interrupts. "Okay, maybe you haven't messed up yet, but you will. You will." He slowly loses his sanity as he walks backwards. "And when you do, I'll be there. I'll be there." He laughs in a crazy way and runs away. SpongeBob says, "Gosh, Squidward sure is a hard worker. He makes me proud to wear these hats." He rubs his two hats. SpongeBob genuinely thinks Squidward is working hard. He has no idea Squidward is having a mental breakdown. The scene changes to Squidward locking his door. He uses his key, puts padlocks on the door, bolts it down with wood and nails, puts police tape across it, and uses a blowtorch to weld the door shut. There, now I'll have to stay here and enjoy myself. His face looks strange because he has lost his sanity. I'm not even gonna think about you-know-who at the you-know-what doing I don't care. Just gonna relax. He walks to his shower, turns on the water, puts on his bathing cap, and sits in his bathtub. Let Squid's day off begin. While under the bathwater, he hears SpongeBob laughing. He comes above the water. What was that? He hears SpongeBob's laugh again. It's SpongeBob. He's spying on me to see if I'm really doing errands. But he left his post, and I've finally caught him messing up. He pokes his head out the window. Aha! I caught you, Sponge. He notices it is just the wind making a branch of coral brush against his house. Branch? Then he notices SpongeBob's shape behind his shower curtain. It looks like SpongeBob wearing his two hats. Squidward says, "Heh, here's that rubber duck Mr. Krabs wanted me to get." He pulls the curtain aside. "I've got you now. Wait till Mr. Krabs finds out you're a..." He sees his toilet with a shampoo bottle and 2 rolls of toilet paper on it. The toilet paper rolls look like the 2 hats. "Toilet! You're losing it, Squidward. Calm down. If I let this get to me again, I'll just end up running down to the Krusty Krab, bursting through the front door, up to that yellow headache SpongeBob, and he'll say..." SpongeBob appears in the bathtub with Squidward. "Hi, Squidward. Are you finished with those errands yet?" He goes under the water. Squidward yells, "Aha!" He goes under the water and appears as a real octopus with a gurgling voice. "I know you're in here. What?" SpongeBob is in the drain. He winks and goes down the drain. Squidward yells, "He's heading back to the Krusty Krab. I'll beat him there." He jumps out of his bathtub and runs to the door. "I've got you now, SpongeBob." He slams through the door that he barricaded. He is wearing nothing but his shower cap and bubbles covering his waist. He runs past a woman on the street. She covers a child's eyes with her hand and yells, "Hey, put some clothes on." Squidward runs past Patrick lying on a rock. "The truth will be revealed." Patrick stands up. "Whoa, right on, Squidward." The scene changes to the hospital. A doctor and Mr. Krabs are walking out. The doctor says, "Okay, Mr. Krabs, get plenty of rest, and if things don't seem right, come back." She walks inside. Mr. Krabs says, "Thanks, Doc." He looks at the street and smiles. Then the naked Squidward runs past him. "SpongeBob, you can't beat me." Mr. Krabs frowns. His arms fall off again. He walks back into the hospital. Squidward bursts into the Krusty Krab, laughing wildly. He finds SpongeBob already there. SpongeBob never left. He was at the restaurant the whole time. Squidward yells, "Aha! I caught you now. You didn't think I knew you were a stick outside my window, ha! Or the toilet in my bathroom. And then you were in my bathtub, and I, and you, and I, and then you swam down the drain and beat me to the Krusty Krab." He slowly regains his sanity as he realizes how insane he sounds. SpongeBob looks confused. Squidward's saliva hits his face. SpongeBob asks carefully, does that mean you're..." Squidward covers his mouth with his hand. "Yes, SpongeBob, I am finished with those errands." He hugs the register. "I guess I want to take my place back at the cash register. I really do." He rubs his face on the cash register. SpongeBob takes off his clothes, except his underwear, and hands them to Squidward. He whispers, "Then you might want to put these on." Squidward looks down and notices bubbles covering his body. The camera shows a close-up of his legs. All the bubbles pop except one, which pops after the close-up. He grabs SpongeBob's pants and puts them on. SpongeBob walks over to the door. Hey, Squidward, you know what? Look! He holds up the sign that says open on one side and closed on the other. We forgot to switch the closed sign to open. It's almost like we could have taken the whole day off. He flips the sign from closed to open and laughs. Squidward stares at him. His nose falls off. His head deflates like a balloon. His whole body soon falls gently to the ground. The episode ends. This episode is one of the darkest portrayals of Squidward's mental state in the entire series. He gets exactly what he wants. He is in charge. He has a day off. He gets paid. But he cannot enjoy any of it because he cannot trust SpongeBob. The problem is that SpongeBob does nothing wrong the entire episode. He knows how to make change. He does not leave his post. He does not set the restaurant on fire. He does not destroy anything. Every single crisis that happens in this episode exists only in Squidward's head. He imagines disasters that never occur. He sees SpongeBob in places where SpongeBob is not. He runs back and forth between his house and the restaurant until he is completely exhausted. He locks himself inside his own house to stop himself from checking on SpongeBob, but he breaks through his own barricade. The episode reveals that Squidward's need for control is so strong that it destroys his ability to relax. He cannot delegate. He cannot trust anyone else to do a job correctly. Even when that person has proven themselves capable, like SpongeBob did by demonstrating he knows how to make change, Squidward still assumes the worst. His anxiety is not based on reality. It is based on his own fears and insecurities. And the final twist, that the restaurant was closed the entire time, makes everything even worse. Squidward spent the whole day worrying about nothing. They could have both gone home, but Squidward was so focused on being in charge and so paranoid about SpongeBob messing up that he never thought to check if the restaurant was even open. This episode shows that Squidward does not just hate his job, he is trapped by his own mind. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode Squidville. Squidville aired on September 7th, 2001, the same day as Geeks. And it might be the most important episode for understanding what Squidward actually needs versus what he thinks he wants. This is the episode where Squidward gets to live in a community designed specifically for people like him, surrounded by others who share his interests and his personality. He gets everything he has ever claimed to desire, and he discovers that it makes him absolutely miserable. The episode opens with Squidward sleeping in his bed. He is having a nightmare. In the dream, he hears laughing and opens his eyes. SpongeBob and Patrick are in his bed with him, laughing. Squidward screams and wakes up. He sits up in bed, breathing heavily. What a nightmare! I dreamt that SpongeBob and Patrick invaded my house and wanted to have fun. He hears laughing outside. He looks out his window and sees SpongeBob and Patrick in his front yard. SpongeBob is riding a bicycle and Patrick is running alongside him. They are both laughing and having fun. Squidward realizes, they're in my yard. If they're here and I'm here, that means my dream is really... SpongeBob and Patrick crash the bicycle through Squidward's window. They land on his bed. SpongeBob says cheerfully, "Good morning, Squidward." Patrick adds, "We're out of ice cream." They both laugh. Squidward screams, "Get out, get out, get out, get out!" The nightmare was real. The scene transitions to later that morning. Squidward is trying to relax in a chair in his front yard. He has a newspaper, a cup of tea, and classical music playing from a record player. SpongeBob walks up, pushing a lawnmower made out of coral. "Good morning, Squidward. Beautiful day, isn't it?" Squidward does not respond. He just reads his paper. SpongeBob says, "Well, I'm off to work. See you later." He starts mowing his lawn using a living coral that eats the grass. The coral makes loud chomping sounds. Squidward tries to ignore it. Then SpongeBob starts laughing. The coral is tickling him. Squidward's eye twitches with annoyance. Patrick walks up wearing headphones. "Hi, Squidward." He sits down on a chair next to Squidward. Patrick's music is so loud that Squidward can hear it clearly, even though Patrick is wearing headphones. The music is obnoxious. Squidward's other eye twitches. Then a leaf blower turns on. SpongeBob is using a reef blower, which is the underwater version of a leaf blower. But instead of blowing leaves, it is blowing the coral clippings from the lawn. The clippings blow all over Squidward's yard, and all over Squidward himself. Squidward stands up, covered in grass clippings. SpongeBob keeps blowing. Patrick's loud music keeps playing. Squidward cannot take it anymore. "That does it. I am moving." He storms into his house. The scene shows Squidward packing his belongings into boxes. He carries the boxes outside and loads them into a moving truck. SpongeBob and Patrick watch him. SpongeBob asks, "Squidward, where are you going?" Squidward answers while taping a box. "I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving Bikini Bottom. I'm going someplace where I can be around people who are more like me, with sophisticated tastes." He finishes taping the box and throws it into the truck. The box lands on his fancy sculpture, breaking it.
My sculpture, SpongeBob says. But Squidward, you can't leave Bikini Bottom. What about your job? And your house? And what about me and Patrick? Patrick adds, yeah, what about us? Squidward slams the truck door shut. What about you? This is all because of you. You two are the whole reason I'm leaving. He gets in the truck and drives away. SpongeBob and Patrick wave goodbye sadly. The scene shows Squidward driving down a road. He passes a sign that says, "You are now leaving Bikini Bottom." He keeps driving until he sees another sign. This sign has an arrow pointing right and reads, Tentacle Acres, a community for those with a taste for finer living. Squidward smiles. Tentacle Acres? Now that's a name I can trust. He turns right and drives toward the community. Squidward arrives at Tentacle Acres. The entire community is designed to look like Easter Island heads, just like Squidward's house. Every building is the same. Everyone living there is an octopus or squid, just like Squidward. Squidward looks around in amazement. Finally, a place where I can be happy. He drives past other residents. They are all doing activities that Squidward enjoys. One is painting. Another is riding a recumbent bicycle, which is a bicycle where you sit back instead of sitting upright. Another is playing the clarinet. Squidward says, they're all just like me. He parks in front of his new house, which looks identical to every other house in the community. Squidward gets out of his truck and takes a deep breath. Ah, the smell of non-idiocy. I could get used to this. A neighbor walks up to him. The neighbor looks exactly like Squidward, except he is wearing different clothes. Hello there. You must be the new guy. Welcome to Tentacle Acres. My name is Squidward. This is an important detail. The neighbor is also named Squidward. The episode is showing that everyone in this community is essentially the same person. Our Squidward responds, wow, my name is Squidward too. The neighbor laughs and says, well, I guess we're all Squidwards here. He laughs some more. Our Squidward laughs along with him. Another neighbor joins them and says, did I hear someone say they like to dance? He does a little dance move. All three of them laugh together. The scene transitions to show Squidward settling into his new house. He is unpacking boxes and arranging his furniture. He looks out his window and sees his neighbors. They are all doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. One is watering plants, another is reading, another is playing music. Everything is calm and orderly. Squidward smiles. This is exactly what I needed. The next morning, Squidward wakes up to the sound of an alarm clock playing classical music. He sits up and stretches. Ah, what a wonderful morning. He looks out his window. All of his neighbors are also waking up at the exact same time. They all stretch in the exact same way. They all walk to their windows in the exact same way. Squidward waves to them. They all wave back in the exact same way. Squidward says, everyone here is so friendly and civilized. Squidward goes outside to start his day. He sees a neighbor riding a recumbent bicycle. Hello there, Squidward says. Good morning. Another neighbor is playing the clarinet. Squidward pulls out his own clarinet. I think I'll join you. He starts playing. But both of them are playing the exact same song at the exact same tempo. The music is perfectly synchronized. Squidward says, wow, we're even in tune. They continue playing together. Then another neighbor joins in with his clarinet. Then another. Soon, everyone in the entire community is playing the clarinet in perfect unison. They are all playing the exact same notes at the exact same time. Squidward is smiling at first, but then his smile starts to fade. This is too much synchronization. After playing, Squidward decides to go for a bike ride. He gets on his recumbent bicycle and starts riding around the neighborhood. He passes other residents who are also riding recumbent bicycles. They are all going the exact same speed. They all nod to each other as they pass.
Squidward keeps riding. He makes a turn. Another resident makes the same turn at the same time. Squidward speeds up. The other resident speeds up at the same rate. Everything is too predictable, too orderly, too same. The scene shows Squidward later that day. He is sitting in his house, looking bored. He stares out the window at his neighbors. They are all doing normal activities, but everything looks the same. Everyone is the same. Squidward gets up and decides to go outside. He walks to the community center. Inside, there is an interpretive dance class happening. Everyone is wearing the same leotard and doing the exact same dance moves at the exact same time. Squidward joins in. He does the same moves as everyone else. 1, 2, 3, 4. Arms up, arms down. Turn left, turn right. Everything is perfectly choreographed. Squidward is going through the motions, but he looks empty inside. After the dance class, Squidward goes to a cafe. He orders a kelp shake, which is the underwater version of a smoothie. The waiter brings it to him. Squidward takes a sip. It tastes fine, but he does not look happy. He looks around the cafe. Everyone is sitting quietly, reading newspapers or books. Nobody is making noise. Nobody is causing trouble. Nobody is doing anything unexpected. Squidward finishes his shake and leaves. That night, Squidward is back in his house. He is trying to play his clarinet, but he cannot focus. He puts the clarinet down and looks out his window. All of his neighbors are also playing their clarinets. They are all playing the same song again. Squidward closes his curtains. He walks around his house, looking at his paintings and sculptures. Everything is neat and organized. Everything is exactly how he wanted it. But something is wrong. He sits down in his chair and stares at the wall. The next morning, Squidward wakes up and goes through the same routine. Classical music alarm, stretch, look out window, wave to neighbors. But this time, he does not smile. He walks outside and sees everyone doing the same activities as yesterday. Riding bicycles, playing clarinets, painting. Everything is the same. Squidward tries to ride his bike, but he stops after a few seconds. He is not enjoying it. He goes back inside. Squidward is lying on his couch, staring at the ceiling. He is completely bored. He tries to read a book, but he cannot concentrate. He tries to paint, but nothing comes out. He tries to play his clarinet, but it does not sound right. He is surrounded by everything he thought he wanted, but he feels empty. He looks out his window again. A neighbor walks by and waves. Squidward does not wave back. He just watches. Everyone is the same. Every day is the same. Everything is the same. That night, Squidward cannot sleep. He tosses and turns in his bed. He gets up and looks out his window. The entire community is dark and quiet. Everyone is asleep. Everything is peaceful. But Squidward is restless. He walks around his house. He picks up his clarinet and stares at it. Then he puts it down. He goes to his easel and looks at a blank canvas. He picks up a paintbrush. Then he puts it down. He does not know what to do with himself. Squidward goes outside in his pajamas. He walks around the empty streets of Tentacle Acres. Everything is silent. He walks past the identical houses. He walks past the community center. He walks past the cafe. Everything looks the same in the dark. He sits down on a bench and stares up at the sky. He looks miserable. The next day, Squidward wakes up feeling worse. He drags himself out of bed and goes outside. He sees his neighbors doing the exact same activities as every other day. He walks up to one of them and tries to start a conversation. "Hello, nice day, isn't it?" The neighbor responds, "Yes, quite nice. Perfect for bicycling." Squidward says, "Yes, bicycling. Do you ever do anything else?" The neighbor looks confused. "What else would I do? Bicycling is the perfect form of exercise." Squidward walks away. He tries talking to another neighbor who is painting. "Hello, what are you painting?" The neighbor says, I'm painting a picture of my house. Squidward looks at the painting. It is a picture of an Easter Island head, just like every other house. Squidward says, "Don't you ever want to paint something different?" The neighbor responds, "Why would I paint something different? This is a perfectly acceptable subject." Squidward walks away again, feeling even more frustrated. Squidward goes back to his house and slams the door. He paces back and forth. This is exactly what I wanted. Everyone here is civilized. Everyone here is cultured. Everyone here is just like me. So why am I so miserable? He looks around his empty house. Everything is perfect. Everything is organized. Everything is exactly how it should be. But it feels wrong. Squidward cannot take it anymore. He grabs his clarinet and goes outside. He starts playing, but instead of playing the same song as everyone else, he plays random notes. Loud, chaotic, crazy notes. His neighbors stop what they are doing and stare at him. One neighbor says, "Excuse me, sir, but you're playing the wrong notes." Squidward yells back, "I know, I'm doing it on purpose." He plays even louder and more chaotically. The neighbors look shocked and disturbed. They start walking away from him. Squidward keeps playing. Then Squidward throws his clarinet on the ground. He starts running around in circles, yelling and screaming. He jumps up and down. He makes faces. He acts completely crazy. All of his neighbors watch him with disapproval. One says, "How uncivilized." Another says, "This behavior is completely unacceptable." Squidward does not care. He keeps acting wild. He is finally doing something unpredictable, something chaotic, something different. Security guards arrive. They are also octopuses wearing uniforms. They walk up to Squidward. "Sir, you're disturbing the peace. We're going to have to ask you to leave." Squidward looks at them and then looks around at all the identical houses and identical residents. He realizes he needs to get out of here. "Fine, I'm leaving anyway. This place is too perfect, too boring, too... He cannot find the right word. One of the guards says, "Too civilized?" Squidward yells, "Yes, too civilized." Squidward runs back to his house and starts packing his things. He throws everything into boxes as fast as he can. He loads the boxes into his truck. His neighbors watch from their windows, shaking their heads in disapproval. Squidward gets in the truck and starts driving. He drives away from Tentacle Acres, past the sign that says, "A community for those with a taste for finer living," and heads back toward Bikini Bottom. The scene shows Squidward driving down the road. He looks relieved. He passes the sign that says, "Welcome to Bikini Bottom." He keeps driving until he reaches Conch Street, where his old house is. He parks the truck and gets out. He looks at his house, which is between SpongeBob's pineapple and Patrick's rock. He takes a deep breath. Then he hears laughing. SpongeBob and Patrick are in SpongeBob's yard playing. They see Squidward. SpongeBob yells, "Squidward, you're back!" Patrick yells, "We missed you!" They run toward him. Squidward's first instinct is to run away, but then he stops. He looks at them. They are annoying. They are loud. They are chaotic. But they are also unpredictable. They are different. They are the opposite of everything he just experienced in Tentacle Acres. SpongeBob and Patrick tackle Squidward in a hug. "We're so glad you're back!" Squidward does not hug them back, but he also does not push them away. He just stands there. Then he says quietly, Yeah, I'm back. Now get off me." SpongeBob and Patrick let go and start laughing. They run back to playing. Squidward watches them for a moment. Then he walks into his house and starts unpacking. He looks out his window at SpongeBob and Patrick making noise and causing chaos. He does not smile, but he also does not look angry. He looks accepting. The episode ends. Squidville is one of the most important episodes for understanding Squidward's character, because it proves that he does not actually know what he wants. He spent the entire series complaining about SpongeBob and Patrick. He claimed that if he could just live somewhere else, somewhere cultured and civilized, he would be happy. But when he finally gets that exact situation, he discovers that it makes him miserable. The problem is not SpongeBob and Patrick. The problem is that Squidward needs contrast in his life. He needs chaos to appreciate order. He needs noise to appreciate quiet. He needs annoying neighbors to appreciate moments of peace. Without SpongeBob and Patrick, Squidward has nothing to complain about, and complaining is a huge part of his identity. In Tentacle Acres, everyone is exactly like him. They all have the same interests. They all do the same activities. They all act the same way. There is no conflict. There is no variety. There is no challenge. And without those things, Squidward has nothing to push against. He becomes bored and empty. The episode also shows that Squidward's appreciation for art and culture is not as deep as he claims. When surrounded by other people who also appreciate art and culture, he does not find it fulfilling. The interpretive dance class should have made him happy, but it just made him feel empty. Playing clarinet with people who are actually in tune with him should have been a dream come true, but it felt wrong. This suggests that Squidward does not actually love these activities for their own sake. He loves them because they make him feel superior to people like SpongeBob and Patrick. When everyone around him is equally sophisticated, he loses that feeling of superiority, and the activities become meaningless. The ending is perfect because Squidward returns to Bikini Bottom not because he suddenly loves SpongeBob and Patrick, but because he realizes he needs them. They provide the chaos and unpredictability that makes his life interesting. They give him something to react to. They give him a reason to feel superior. They give him contrast. Without them, his life is just an endless loop of sameness. And sameness, it turns out, is Squidward's true nightmare. He would rather be annoyed than bored. He would rather have chaos than emptiness. He would rather live next to SpongeBob and Patrick than live in paradise. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode Artist Unknown. Artist Unknown aired on September 21st, 2001, and it is one of the most painful episodes for Squidward because it directly attacks the one thing he values most about himself, his identity as an artist. This is the episode where Squidward gets a chance to teach art, meets a famous art collector, and comes face to face with the reality that he may not be as talented as he believes. The episode reveals that Squidward's entire self-worth is built on his artistic abilities, and when those abilities are questioned, his entire identity falls apart. The episode begins at the Adult Learning Center. Squidward is preparing for his first day as an art teacher. He is talking to himself, imagining his future success. Ah, how I have dreamed of this day. Mr. Tentacles, Professor of Art. What a marvelous opportunity for the people of Bikini Bottom. Bring me your huddle masses of bored housewives, and I will shape them into my image. I'll go down in history. Someday there will be a wing with my name on it in all the museums of the world. The camera shows a black and white picture of a couple in an old-fashioned kitchen. In Squidward's imagination, the wife's head turns into Squidward's head. The husband notices and looks alarmed. This shows that Squidward imagines literally transforming people into versions of himself through his teaching. A janitor walks by and says, "Dude, you're teaching art at the rec center. Calm down." This brings Squidward back to reality. He is not teaching at a prestigious university. He is teaching a community class at a recreation center. But Squidward refuses to accept this. He calls the janitor an uncultured trash urchin and checks his watch. 9 a.m. Time to let the class in. Well, don't want to keep them waiting any longer. He opens the door with a dramatic gesture. "Welcome to art class." A man named Nat looks inside and asks, "Oh, isn't this cooking? Sorry." Everyone outside leaves except for SpongeBob. Squidward's entire class just walked away. They thought this was a cooking class, not an art class. The only person left is the one person Squidward did not want. SpongeBob says cheerfully, "Hi, Squidward. Are you taking this art class too?" Squidward panics. "SpongeBob? In art class? Wait, this is cooking. Come back. You gotta be kidding." He is desperately trying to get SpongeBob to leave, but SpongeBob thinks this is wonderful. This is great! You and me in school together.
So, where's the teacher?
Squidward reluctantly admits, "You're looking at him." SpongeBob's eyes light up. "You are the teacher? To my pupil? This isn't art class, it's heaven." Squidward responds sarcastically, "Yeah, grab a little piece of heaven and let's get with it." SpongeBob says enthusiastically, "I'm ready, Mr. Tentacles." Squidward decides to use this opportunity to put SpongeBob in his place. "So, you want to be an artist, eh, SpongeBob?" SpongeBob answers, "Yes, please." Squidward says, "Well, art is not all fun and games. It's a lot of hard work." As he says this, he picks up a big stack of books and drops them on the desk, making SpongeBob's desk hop in the air. Then Squidward begins what is essentially a humiliation exercise. "Okay, first, repeat after me. I have no talent." SpongeBob repeats obediently, "I have no talent." Squidward continues, "Mr. Tentacles has all the talent." SpongeBob repeats, "Mr. Tentacles has all the talent." Squidward says, "If I'm lucky, some of Mr. Tentacle's talent may rub off on me." SpongeBob tries to repeat this, but gets confused. "If I'm lucky, Mr. Talent will rub his tentacles on my art." He smiles broadly. Squidward stares at him with a blank expression. The camera cuts back to SpongeBob, who is still smiling. The camera cuts back to Squidward again. Finally, Squidward says, "Whatever." Squidward decides to start with a basic lesson. "Okay, since you're telling me you have no prior training, we'll have to start from square one, or should I say, circle one." He draws a very crooked, imperfect circle and laughs at his own joke. "Am I going too fast for you, SpongeBob?" SpongeBob holds up his paper. "How's this, Squidward?" Squidward looks at the paper and is shocked. "What the? How the? A perfect circle?" "Do it again. Show your process." SpongeBob explains, "Well, first I draw this head." He draws a completely realistic human head with perfect detail. Then I erase some of the more detailed features. He erases the drawing into a rough sketch of a realistic head. And 1, 2, 3, a circle thingy. He erases it one more time and it becomes a perfect circle. Squidward cannot believe what he just saw. He grabs the paper. "Gimme that!" He crumples it up. Squidward moves on to the next exercise. Forget the circles. SpongeBob picks up the crumpled paper and says, "Ooh, nice one, Squidward. Let me try." He laughs and holds up his own crumpled paper. "Looky, Squidward, it's you and me playing leapfrog. That's you on the bottom." The crumpled paper somehow looks like two figures playing leapfrog, with Squidward on the bottom. Squidward grabs the paper. "Gimme that. There is nothing artistic about leapfrog." He rips the paper into pieces. SpongeBob picks up the torn pieces and arranges them into a new image. Squidward asks, "What are you doing now?" SpongeBob explains, "I call it Rippy Bits. You take a bunch of old ripped up paper and make a new picture out of it. See? You're on top. This time." He blows on the paper and the pieces fly away. Squidward is getting frustrated. "Do you want to learn art or not?" SpongeBob apologizes. "I'm sorry, Squidward. I'll listen." Squidward decides to try sculpture. "All right, SpongeBob, pay close attention. Look at your marble. Visualize the sculpture within." And gently, he hits the marble with a chisel and the entire thing breaks into a pile of rubble. This proves that Squidward himself cannot sculpt properly. SpongeBob picks up his chisel and taps his marble once. The marble transforms into a perfect sculpture of Michelangelo's David, which is one of the most famous sculptures in human history. Squidward stares at it with stars in his eyes. "It's beautiful!" A tear falls from his eyes. Then he snaps out of it. "I mean, this isn't a sculpture." SpongeBob's lip starts quivering. He is about to cry. Squidward continues, "A good sculpture takes more time. You can't just sculpt willy-nilly. You've got to go by the book. Follow the rules. SpongeBob wipes away a tear. Otherwise, you'll never get past amateur hour here. Besides, you've got the nose wrong. Squidward takes a nose that looks like his own nose and puts it on the sculpture.
There, now it's art.
This moment is crucial. SpongeBob created a perfect replica of one of history's greatest sculptures. But Squidward cannot accept that it is good because it makes him look bad as a teacher. So he criticizes it by saying the nose is wrong and replaces it with a nose that looks like his own. He is literally defacing a masterpiece to protect his own ego. SpongeBob completely breaks down. Oh, it's so obvious. I would have never thought of that. I'm sorry, Squidward. I came here to learn and I arrogantly shunned your lessons. I'll never be a great artist like you. I don't deserve your tutoring. I don't deserve to be in your presence. He crawls over to the front door. I don't even deserve to use your doors. The doors swing open and hit SpongeBob, knocking him out the window. He falls into a garbage dumpster head first. A fancy-looking man walks up to the building. SpongeBob is still in the dumpster. But I did deserve that. The dumpster lid closes on top of him. I deserve that too. A garbage truck picks up the dumpster with SpongeBob inside.
And I deserve this.
The man says politely, "Good day, sir." Squidward opens the door. "Sorry, class dismissed. You're too late." The man introduces himself. "Oh, I beg your pardon, but I've forgotten my manners. My name is Monty P. Moneybags." Squidward's eyes widen. The world-famous art collector? Monty confirms. The one and only. Squidward asks, "Well, what are you doing here?" Monty explains, "I'm on a shopping spree, buying art for my new museum." This is Squidward's dream come true. A famous art collector is here looking for art. Squidward immediately tries to sell his own work. "Your search is over. I am Bikini Bottom's greatest artiste. I call this one Squidward en repose." The painting shows Squidward lying down in a relaxed pose. Monty looks at it and says carefully, I don't think that will fit in with the other pieces in my collection." Squidward asks, "Why not?" Monty responds bluntly, "Because it's an art collection." He laughs. This is a brutal insult. Monty is saying that Squidward's painting is not real art. Squidward tries again. "How about this one? I call it Bold and Brash." The painting shows Squidward in a dramatic pose. Monty delivers one of the most famous insults in SpongeBob history. More like, belongs in the trash. He laughs. The janitor walks by and says, "Sorry, I must have missed that one." He grabs the painting and throws it in the trash can. He whistles as he walks away. Squidward just watched his painting get literally thrown in the trash by a janitor while a famous art collector laughed. This is complete humiliation. Monty starts to leave, but then he notices something. Maybe I should be... Huh? What is that? His eyes fall on the sculpture that SpongeBob made earlier. Squidward tries to stop him. Wait, that's not, But Monty is already examining the sculpture in amazement. Angelic form! Amazing detail. Perfect censorship. This is the work of a true genius. Then he notices something wrong. Hello? What this? He gets a ladder and climbs up to the sculpture's face. This is the only flaw. He removes the nose that Squidward added earlier. The nose falls and lands on Squidward's forehead. Ah, that's more like it. I simply must find the artist responsible. He shall have fame. Squidward's eyes light up. Fame! He imagines himself surrounded by adoring fans. Monty continues. Fortune. Squidward imagines himself in a bathtub full of money. Fortune, Monty adds. Anything his heart desires. Squidward imagines himself with a full head of hair. Anything? He runs over to Monty in excitement. It's me, I'm responsible. Monty is thrilled. I can see it now. Your name in the world's most prestigious museums. I'm gonna make you immortal. Now, help me get this in the car. Squidward tries to help move the sculpture, but he is struggling. I could use a little help. The sculpture's head hits the top of the doorway. The head breaks off and falls to the floor. It sheds a single tear, then crumbles into a pile of rubble. Squidward rushes back inside in panic. My fame! My fortune! My hair! Monty tries to stay calm. Well, that's a bit of bad luck right there. But this shouldn't be a problem for an artist of your magnitude. You can whip up another one. Squidward lies. Yeah, no problem. You know, between you and me, this isn't my best work. Why don't you come back tomorrow and I'll have something that will really knock your socks off? Monty responds, between you and me, I'm not wearing socks. He laughs. Squidward forces a laugh. Yeah, no socks. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. He closes the door. The moment Monty leaves, Squidward panics. I gotta find SpongeBob! The scene transitions to the Bikini Bottom dump. Squidward is searching through garbage. SpongeBob? SpongeBob! SpongeBob! SpongeBob is lying inside a flattened Kelpo cereal box. His voice is muffled. Go away, Squidward. I don't deserve your kindness. Squidward tries to sound encouraging. Hey, cheer up. I have decided to give you another chance. Why, with a great teacher like me, anything is possible. SpongeBob says sadly, Don't look at me, Squidward. Don't look at my shame. He slides out of the cereal box. These hands weren't meant to create. They only destroy. I can't look at them. His hands pop off his body and run into a soup can. One hand closes the lid like a door. Squidward tries to build him back up. Aw, come on, SpongeBob. You've got yourself a pair of yellow dandies here. With my help, we'll turn them into tools of beauty. SpongeBob asks, Really? Squidward confirms, Really? SpongeBob asks again, Really? Squidward repeats, Really? SpongeBob asks a third time, Really? Squidward is getting annoyed. Really? SpongeBob pauses, then asks one more time, Really? Squidward just says, Let's go. As they leave, SpongeBob notices a painting in the dump surrounded by flies. Squidward, look! It's old Bold and Brash! Squidward grabs it. Gimme that. Back at the classroom, Squidward pushes a marble in front of SpongeBob. Okay, SpongeBob, just do what you did before. SpongeBob picks up the chisel, but hesitates. I can't. Squidward tries a different approach. Wait. Let me help. Let's start with the circle again. SpongeBob draws a circle, but this time it is crooked and imperfect, just like the one Squidward drew earlier. I did it, Squidward. Squidward is confused. Huh? But what about the head? And the erasing and the... SpongeBob explains. I don't know, Squidward. That stuff's not in the book. This is the turning point. SpongeBob was able to create masterpieces when he was following his own instincts. But now that Squidward has taught him to follow rules and books, he can no longer create anything good. Squidward crumples the paper. How about this, huh? Remember? He is trying to get SpongeBob to make another crumpled paper sculpture. But SpongeBob says, That's not in the book either. Squidward gets frustrated. Forget about the book. He rips up the book. Ha! There! Look at all this mess, SpongeBob. He grabs a chair, puts it in front of SpongeBob's desk, and jumps up and down while holding it. What do all these little bits of paper make you want to do? SpongeBob thinks for a moment. Wait, I know this. Oh wait, I think I got it. Instead of making art from the torn paper, he puts the book back together perfectly. Yes! Ta-da! Squidward's nose melts off his face in frustration. He gives up on that approach. Okay, SpongeBob, let's just move on to the marble. SpongeBob starts talking about the artistic process. First, an artist must concentrate and visualize his concept. Squidward thinks this sounds good. Now you've got it. But then SpongeBob goes completely overboard. I've got to embrace the marble. Squidward says, right. SpongeBob continues, I've got to sniff the marble. He sniffs the marble. Squidward says hesitantly, well, okay. SpongeBob yells, I've got to lick the marble. Squidward just says, SpongeBob then puts the marble in a washing machine. I've got to wash the marble. Then he sits with the marble at a dining table with candles, like they're on a date. I've got to date the marble. Then he expands his body so he is the same size as the marble. I've got to be the marble. I've got it. I have seen the sculpture within. He returns to normal size. Squidward is desperate for this to work. He hands SpongeBob the sculpting tools. Here you go, buddy. SpongeBob holds the chisel dramatically. With this tool, I shall give birth to art. Squidward says nervously, oh boy. SpongeBob taps the marble with the chisel. The entire thing shatters into a pile of rubble, just like what happened to Squidward earlier. Squidward's smile freezes on his face. He is trying to keep his sanity. SpongeBob says, but one more thing. He puts a stone nose shaped like Squidward's nose on top of the rubble. There, now it's art. Well, what do you think, Squidward? Just take it all in for a moment. Let it soak in. Squidward tries to keep smiling, but his whole body is shaking. Then he completely loses his mind. He screams and goes on a rampage. He kicks 2 marbles. He takes a bite out of a marble and eats it. He grabs 4 paint tubes and squeezes them, spraying paint everywhere. He kicks a picture. He takes a marble and repeatedly smashes it into the floor. He keeps smashing marble after marble into the ground. While Squidward is destroying everything, there is a painting of 2 people in the style of the famous American Gothic painting. The 2 painted figures look at each other as they watch Squidward go crazy. A marble shaped like a butt flies over SpongeBob, and he ducks into his pants for safety. SpongeBob says calmly, it looks like the excitement of my artistic triumph is too much for Squidward. Oh well, back to the dump. He puts the cereal box back over himself and runs through the wall. He runs down the road, singing to the tune of the William Tell Overture. To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump. To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump. Meanwhile, Squidward continues breaking more art. He is breathing heavily in rage. Monty opens the door. I'm here for the... What the... Who is responsible for this? Squidward sees Monty and immediately puts his beret on the janitor's head. As of now, it's his responsibility. Good day to you, sir. He angrily walks out of the building. As Monty and the janitor walk inside, the camera reveals something amazing. When Squidward smashed all the marble together in his breakdown, he accidentally created an even better and more beautiful sculpture than SpongeBob's original. But Squidward left without even seeing it. Monty says to the janitor, you, sir, are the greatest artist who ever lived. The episode ends. Artist Unknown is devastating for Squidward because it proves that his identity as an artist is completely hollow. When Monty looked at Squidward's actual paintings, he laughed and said they belonged in the trash. But when Monty looked at SpongeBob's sculpture, he called it the work of a true genius. Squidward spent the entire episode trying to take credit for SpongeBob's work, while simultaneously destroying SpongeBob's natural talent by forcing him to follow rules. The final twist makes it even worse, because Squidward actually did create a masterpiece during his breakdown, but he was so focused on his anger and frustration that he walked away without even noticing. The fame and fortune he desperately wanted was right there, but he missed it completely. This episode confirms that Squidward takes art deeply personally, and his entire self-worth depends on being seen as talented and sophisticated. But the reality is that his ego and insecurity prevent him from achieving the very success he craves. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode Squid on Strike. Squid on Strike aired on October 12, 2001, and it shows Squidward attempting to lead a workers' rebellion against Mr. Krabs. This is one of the rare episodes where Squidward takes action instead of just complaining. He organizes a strike, makes speeches, and tries to stand up for workers' rights. But like many of Squidward's plans, it backfires completely. The episode reveals that Squidward resents being exploited by authority figures like Mr. Krabs. But when his protest actually starts to work, he panics and gives up because he cannot handle the consequences. The episode opens at the Krusty Krab. Krabs is in his office, sitting at his desk with an adding machine. He is singing a song about counting money. Countin' me money, money sweeter than honey. Money, money this, money, money that. Profit will make me wallet fat. Then he looks at the paper coming out of the machine, and his eyes bug out. What? Profit's down $3 from last month? I gotta start running a tighter ship around here. Mr. Krabs is upset because he made $3 less this month than last month. This is an incredibly small amount of money to worry about, but Mr. Krabs treats it like a crisis. Meanwhile, Squidward is at the cash register helping a customer named Martha. Thank you for choosing the Krusty Krab. Here's your change. He gives her $1 and she walks away. Mr. Krabs walks up to Squidward. Mr. Squidward, what's with all this change nonsense? He is upset that Squidward gave the customer change. SpongeBob walks over while tying his tie. He is talking to himself about the process. Over and under. Grab the end, put it through here, up and around, round the horn, bring it back home. Mr. Krabs yells at him. SpongeBob, I ain't paying you to play dress up. Squidward becomes annoyed and sighs deeply. Mr. Krabs snaps at him. Breathe on your own time. I don't pay you to breathe. Squidward responds, You hardly pay us at all. Mr. Krabs says, Oh, that reminds me. I got something for ye. He hands them envelopes. Squidward thinks these are their paychecks. Ah, yes, our meager restitution. He takes the envelope and smells it. Ah, the sweet smell of payday. He opens it and finds a pair of underwear inside. The sound of a fly buzzing is heard. Squidward says, Huh? Mr. Krabs realizes his mistake. Oh, sorry, that's me dry cleaning. Here's your check. He trades envelopes with Squidward. He also gives SpongeBob an envelope. And here's yours, SpongeBob. SpongeBob holds up his spatula with wide eyes. I can't accept your money, Mr. Krabs. Grilling is my passion. Mr. Krabs greedily takes back the envelope. This shows that SpongeBob loves his job so much that he would work for free, which Mr. Krabs is more than happy to accept. Squidward looks at what is supposed to be his paycheck. What is this? Instead of a check, there is a bill. The bill charges Squidward for various things. Breathing costs $1. Talking costs $5. Standing costs $10. Existing costs $2. Lollygagging costs $2. Chewing costs $1. Squidward is furious. You're making me pay you to stand at the cash register? What is the meaning of this? Have you gone off the deep end? Mr. Krabs explains his new policy. There's gonna be a few changes around here. Every time I catch you two goofing off, I'm gonna charge you for it. SpongeBob walks up to Mr. Krabs with money in his hands. He starts counting. 18, 19, and 20. Here you go, Mr. K. I think this should cover all my nonsense. Oh, and here's an extra 50 cents for when I was tying my shoe. Mr. Krabs starts drooling over the money like a dog. Squidward pulls SpongeBob away from Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob? What do you think you're doing? SpongeBob answers innocently. I'm just giving Mr. Krabs the money I owe him. Squidward says firmly, Well, I am not paying that cheapskate Krabs 1 cent, and I suggest you do the same. SpongeBob asks, Why? This is when Squidward decides to organize a strike. We've got to unite as workers and demand the respect we deserve from the boss. In fact, you and I should go on strike. SpongeBob gets excited. Wow, you and me go on strike? Squidward starts explaining the reasons. Sure, after all, you like your job, right? SpongeBob agrees. Right, Squidward continues. And you want to keep working here, right? SpongeBob says, right. Squidward asks, and while you work here, you expect to be treated fairly, right? SpongeBob confirms, right. Squidward concludes, then let's go on. Strike! SpongeBob celebrates. Yay, a strike! He starts singing. Going on strike. We're going on strike. I still don't know what strike means, but we're going on a strike. He accidentally kicks Mr. Krabs in the rear end while Mr. Krabs is sweeping the floor. SpongeBob says happily, hey, guess what, Mr. Krabs? Me and Squidward are gonna go on strike. Mr. Krabs asks, a strike? SpongeBob confirms, yeah. Mr. Krabs asks, you mean you're gonna make picket signs? SpongeBob says, yeah. Mr. Krabs asks, and you're gonna make protest speeches? SpongeBob responds, yeah. Mr. Krabs asks one more question, and you're gonna demand me respect? SpongeBob says enthusiastically, yeah. The scene cuts to SpongeBob and Squidward outside the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob is sobbing. No, Squidward. You didn't tell me I was gonna get fired. Without the Krusty Krab, Oh, Squidward, could you hold me? I think I'm gonna be sick. They both got fired. Squidward tries to pull SpongeBob away from the door, but SpongeBob keeps sticking to the glass. SpongeBob? Newsflash, SpongeBob. I got fired too. He pulls SpongeBob off the door again, but this time, SpongeBob's face remains pressed against the glass. This is exactly why we need to go on strike. SpongeBob flies back to the door. Squidward pulls him off once more. This time, the camera shows SpongeBob's skeleton and internal organs pressed against the door from the other side. He can't treat us like this anymore. SpongeBob goes back to the door, and Squidward's eyes become red. He owes us for all the precious, irretrievable moments we've wasted in this trash heap. They look through the door and see Mr. Krabs blowing dust off his old Help Wanted sign. He is already looking for new employees. Squidward says confidently, soon he'll realize he needs us more than we need him. We are workers united. SpongeBob holds Squidward's hand. Squidward notices and clears his throat. SpongeBob withdraws his hand. Sorry, Squidward tells him. Just do exactly as I say, SpongeBob, and in no time, you'll have your job back and more. SpongeBob asks hopefully, and more? He imagines himself wearing a much bigger hat. Squidward starts teaching SpongeBob how to strike. All right, SpongeBob, now listen up. I'm going to have to teach you how to strike. First, we must get rid of our uniforms. They are a symbol of our oppression. I want you to throw your hat on the ground like so. Squidward takes off his hat and throws it on the ground. Then he stomps on it. Now, stomp it into the dust. Your turn, SpongeBob. SpongeBob slowly and hesitantly takes his hat off. That's the idea. Now, throw it on the ground. SpongeBob tries to throw it, but the hat sticks to his hand. He tries several times but cannot let go. Finally, he gives up and starts crying. I can't do it, Squidward. This hat is my friend. It never oppressed me. Squidward says, SpongeBob, you're pathetic. Look, I threw my hat to the ground. A police officer walks up to Squidward with a ticket. Aha, a confession. Next time, think before you litter. He sticks the ticket to Squidward's forehead and leaves. This is funny because Squidward tried to make a dramatic statement about workers' rights, but instead, he just got a littering ticket. Later, Squidward and SpongeBob are painting signs. Squidward explains, okay, pay attention, SpongeBob. Now we're gonna make picket signs. This is a very important part of striking. SpongeBob holds up a piece of picket fence on a stick. Like this, Squidward? Squidward yells, not a picket fence, you ding-dong. Picket sign. SpongeBob holds up a sign that shows a finger picking a nose. How's this? Squidward says. No. He picks up his own sign, which reads, Krusty Krab Unfair. He explains, this is a picket sign. Krusty Krab unfair. Short, sweet, and to the point. SpongeBob holds up his sign. It looks similar to Squidward's, except it reads, Krusty Krab Funfair. Squidward corrects him. SpongeBob, it's unfair, not funfair. A person walks by and reads SpongeBob's sign. A funfair? Where? I could go for some fun. SpongeBob points at the restaurant. At the Krusty Krab. The person yells, Hey everybody, let's go to the fun fair. A crowd of people trample Squidward to get to the restaurant. This is the first sign that the strike is not going as planned. The scene transitions to SpongeBob holding a sign that says, No fair. He is chanting, Krusty Krab is unfair. Mr. Krabs is in there, standing at the concession, plotting his oppression. A teenager with a cap and braces walks up. What the heck does that mean? SpongeBob admits, I don't know. Squidward told me to yell it at people. The teenager says, Then you must be SpongeBob SquarePants. Dude, you are like a fry cook legend. Will you sign my spatula? He pulls out a pen. SpongeBob says, Anything for an aspiring fry cook. He puts his sign down and signs the spatula. So, did you come down to help out the cause? The teenager says, No, I came to take your job. SpongeBob is shocked. The teenager grabs his spatula and pen and runs into the Krusty Krab. Hey, thanks, dude. SpongeBob just helped his own replacement get hired. Squidward walks up and yells at SpongeBob through a megaphone. He speaks so loudly that SpongeBob's facial features fall off and he flies away. Attention, SpongeBob. You are a terrible striker. You just let your replacement cross our picket line without so much as a single threat. SpongeBob puts his eyes back in their sockets. I'm sorry, Squidward. How about I try the signs again? He holds up a sign that reads, I heart the Krusty Krab. Squidward yells into the megaphone. Forget the signs. I've got something for you to do. Go stand over there. SpongeBob stands next to a telephone pole. Like this, Squidward? Squidward adjusts his position. Almost. A little more to the right. And perfect. SpongeBob is now hidden completely behind the telephone pole. Squidward basically just got rid of him. Squidward begins making a speech to a crowd that has gathered. Attention, people of Bikini Bottom. You have been cheated and lied to. A woman in the crowd immediately slaps the man next to her. Squidward continues. The gentle laborer shall no longer suffer from the noxious greed of Mr. Krabs. The crowd cheers. One person asks another, Hey, what's that guy talking about? The other person responds, I don't know, but he's got a megaphone. This shows that people are not actually listening to what Squidward is saying. They just like that he is using a megaphone and sounds important. Squidward keeps going. We will dismantle oppression board by board. We'll saw the foundation of big business in half, even if it takes an eternity. The crowd cheers again. SpongeBob is still behind the pole. Gee, I don't know what Squidward's talking about, but he sure sounds convincing. Squidward continues his speech. With your support, we will send the hammer of the people's will crashing through the windows of Mr. Krabs' house of servitude. He speaks directly into someone's face. That person's eyes shoot into the back of his head, then return to normal. Everyone cheers. One person says, Wow, all this supporting is making me hungry. Another person yells, Hey everybody, let's go get a Krabby Patty. Everyone cheers and runs into the Krusty Krab, trampling Squidward again. Squidward lies on the ground. Nobody gives a care about the fate of labor as long as they can get their instant gratification. SpongeBob walks up to him. That was a great speech, Squidward. You practically had them eating out of your hands. Mr. Krabs appears. But they didn't, did they, Mr. Squidward? 'Cause they were too busy eatin' out of mine. I wish you two had gone on strike earlier. Thanks for attracting all these paying customers with all your signage and your sloganeering. The strike is actually helping Mr. Krabs' business instead of hurting it. SpongeBob gets angry. All right, Mr. Krabs, you've gone too far this time. You can pick on me, but Squidward is a great leader. We are workers united. We're tired of your smelly greed, and we're gonna saw all your tables, and we're gonna smash stuff with the people's hammer, and we're gonna...
Squidward, what was that other part?
Squidward helps him. Dismantle your oppressive establishment? SpongeBob remembers. Yeah, that too. Mr. Krabs pretends to yawn and leaves. SpongeBob yells after him. And me and Squidward are gonna stay on strike until we get what we deserve, even if it takes forever. The word forever echoes in Squidward's mind. His eyes become red. The scene shows Squidward going through his evening routine. He opens his door, takes a bath, looks in the mirror, and sits in bed with wide eyes. He cannot sleep. The word forever keeps haunting him. He says to himself, on strike with SpongeBob? Forever? He imagines himself as an old man with a white beard. He is holding a sign that reads, Krusty Still Unfair. Cobwebs connect him to the ground. An old version of SpongeBob approaches him using a cane. Dream SpongeBob says, Hey Squidward, I bet Old Man Krabs is gonna break any day. He tugs on Dream Squidward's beard. Squidward. Squidward. He bonks Dream Squidward on the head with his cane. Yeah, Squidward. Yeah, Squidward. He floats around Dream Squidward. Yeah, Squidward. Yeah, Squidward. Squidward wakes up screaming. I gotta beg Mr. Krabs for my job back and put an end to this nightmare. He runs to the door and opens it. Mr. Krabs is standing right there in his nightclothes, about to knock. Oh, evening, Mr. Squidward. I was just in the neighborhood and
Thought I'd drop by to
beg you to come back to work. The Krusty Krab is a wreck. I'm ruined without you and the little yellow guy. He gets down on his knees. The teenagers I hired is ruining the place, and the worst part is, they won't leave me alone. The teenagers appear right outside the door. They give Mr. Krabs the thumbs up. All right, Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs looks annoyed. See what I mean? Squidward, please. You gotta come back. Squidward sees his opportunity. You'll give us anything we want? Mr. Krabs agrees desperately. Yes, anything. So what do you say, Mr. Squidward? Squidward smiles. Your story breaks my heart, Mr. Krabs. Why don't we take a little walk and, discuss my terms? Mr. Krabs says nervously. I got a bad feeling in the pit of me wallet. The scene transitions to SpongeBob in his bedroom. He is listening to a country song on a record. The lyrics are, Hey mean Mr. Bossman, I'm a-quittin' this here job. SpongeBob says to himself, Gee, being on strike with Squidward sure is a kick. Squidward's words are still buzzing around in my head like an angry jellyfish. Squidward was right. I can't just sit here. It's time for action. SpongeBob kicks open his front door. He is holding a hammer and a saw. He runs to the Krusty Krab. I will restore the working man to his rightful glory. I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board. He pulls up a loose floorboard. I will saw the tables of tyranny in half. He saws a table in half. Gnaw at the ankles of big business. He takes a bite out of a wooden column. With his mouth full, he says, Squidward will be so proud. SpongeBob is taking everything Squidward said during his speeches literally. He is actually destroying the restaurant. The scene shows dawn at Bikini Atoll. Squidward and Mr. Krabs are walking to the Krusty Krab. They are both fully dressed now. Mr. Krabs says, Well, Squidward, those were intense negotiations. Squidward responds, I'm glad you saw it our way, Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs says, Now I can fire them teenagers and get me 2 golden boys back. Well, see ya at work. Squidward looks up and sees the Krusty Krab completely destroyed. There is green smoke coming from the wreckage. He screams in horror. Mr. Krabs does not notice and keeps humming as he walks forward. SpongeBob peeks out from behind the mangled sign pole. He runs out, trying to hold in his laughter. Squidward stammers in fear. SpongeBob,
What have you done?
SpongeBob says proudly. I did exactly as you said, Squidward. I dismantled the establishment. Now we'll get our jobs back for sure. Squidward is too shocked to speak. Mr. Krabs puts his key where the office door used to be. He unlocks nothing but thin air. He walks through the rubble and sits in his chair. Only then does he see the damage. Only the floor and the base of the walls remain. When he looks straight ahead from his chair, he can see Squidward and SpongeBob standing at the destroyed doorframe. Mr. Krabs' arms pop off, his eyes pop off, his head slides off his body and onto the floor. His nose falls out of his head, then his lower body falls out of his chair. Mr. Krabs screams furiously, "Squidward! SpongeBob!" They both respond. SpongeBob sounds excited. Squidward sounds terrified. "Yes, Mr. Krabs?" SpongeBob says, "Here it comes!" Mr. Krabs announces, "In order to pay off these damages, you two are gonna work for me forever." SpongeBob celebrates. "Yahoo! The strike worked, Squidward! We got our jobs back! Forever!" The word forever echoes inside Squidward's mind again. The camera zooms in on his red eyes. The French narrator announces,
One eternity later.
The Krusty Krab is shown full of dust in the future. There are no customers. Cobwebs are everywhere. A skeleton version of Squidward sweeps the floor. A skeleton version of SpongeBob waits at the cash register. The episode ends. Squid on Strike shows that Squidward genuinely resents being exploited by Mr. Krabs. When Mr. Krabs charges him money for breathing and existing, Squidward refuses to accept it. He organizes a strike and makes speeches about workers' rights. For once, Squidward is trying to stand up for something. But the episode also shows that Squidward cannot handle real responsibility or real consequences. The moment he imagines spending forever on strike with SpongeBob, he gives up completely. He goes to beg for his job back. The strike worked. Mr. Krabs came to beg them to return. But Squidward panics at the last moment. And because SpongeBob took his speeches literally and destroyed the restaurant, they end up trapped, working forever to pay off the damages. Squidward wanted to fight authority, but when it mattered, he collapsed under the pressure. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.